Because our experience or our knowledge is more than doing such a thing to him. The reason why we kidnapped him like that and took him away, had it been in other places, if you enter a camp and capture a camp, the soldiers ran away and you now capture the camp commander and leave him like that and go. He didn't die. He was not injured. Nothing happened to him. After the whole episode, if others come, they will accuse the camp commander being in the same agreement with those who attacked the camp. So this is why we captured and took him away. Had it been in other places, the moment the loyal soldiers arrive, they will arrest him because they will think that he was in agreement with the attackers of the camp.
Thank you very much for that response. So now, in your testimony, you have come as far as telling us that you have arrived at the NIA. Who received you at the NIA? You are now brought to the NIA. You have revived. Well, you have now regained your consciousness. Tell us what you saw.
When we arrived at the NIA, I was brought down the vehicle. They opened the door. Yeah, main gate. After opening the gate, Lamin Jobate.
Which Lamin Jobate are you talking about?
Lawyer, Minister of Justice. The lawyer who once was the Minister of Justice.
Do you know any other name by which he is called?
I heard some people calling him as Baba Dindin Jabate.
Did you know him before?
I never set eyes on him.
That was the first time you saw him?
Yes.
How did you know he was called Lamin Jobate or Baba Dindin Jobate?
Because received Bundanyan. Because he was the man who received me at the gate. But I received him. After he received me, before that, I was able to recognize him among people. I received Bundayindo. After he received me at the gate, before we reached inside, I think the moment I stepped on the ground, that's where my peace ended. Before they knew anything, the moment I stepped on the ground, he slapped me.
Who slapped you?
Baba Dindin Jobate. So that's how they caught me. But at that time, I was still bleeding from the bullet wound on my leg.
You have not yet been taken to hospital?
Honey, no.
And before slapping you, did he ask you anything?
Well, just like after arriving, the moment they brought me down from the vehicle, he didn't ask me anything, he didn't say anything to me, he just slapped me, and that's afterwards they dragged me into an office.
How do you know that this person was Minister of Justice at a later stage?
He found me inside the jail.
Did you have a conversation with him in the jail?
Before they bring him into the jail, after he was arrested, after I told him official membership. Because before all that, when he tortured me and the officers who were present, and some others, I narrate to them what happened. So when he was just arrested, he was taken to the main yard. And after he was taken to the main yard, they wanted to bring them to confinement. The officer who was in charge of the confinement wing, he was called Budu Ture. He came and called me, and then he told me, you people have to bear. Because
you people have to forgive, isn't it?
Sabaro. Patience. That's different from.
Okay. All right.
Sabaro.
I was trying to interpret the context, but undoubtedly I got it wrong. Please proceed.
You people have to bear. Without that, because somebody who maltreated you, and that person also is arrested and brought to the same place. They wanted to transfer him to come to the confinement room. I want to appeal to you. Yes, Sabari. Please be patient. Because Allah has decided, even before you all died, if you don't take patience, then you will never be patient again.
We would come back to all this later. Okay. What I want to establish is, how did you come to be certain, to be sure that the person that received you is Baba Dindin Jobase?
Nafta ka men sabati wala mindu ko nyim keno da nyadi le men na na sabati sonno mo kono ko nyim mari nyim meye kabi nari je meye lo buza Baba Dindin Jobate la.
Because Ibrahim Mondi Bundaro, because when he took me away from the gate, I samba for office, he took me right into the office. So I see that then he sat down. I put
him in the front and you demonstrate. Bring the chair, let him sit and show us what happened, what he did. Please proceed.
After he took me from the gate, so
could you wait for the yes, please go ahead.
After he slapped me, so I couldn't do because when he slapped me, I fell down. I couldn't do it. That's how he dragged me and took me into an office.
Just a minute. You mean to say that you were being dragged like a sack?
Yes.
And where were you taken?
They took me to a hall, a big hall which was there.
Was the hall upstairs or downstairs?
It's downstairs.
What's the distance between the point from which he started to drag you to the point where you were taken to, at least to the point you were given a seat?
Well, it's a little bit distance.
You are a soldier, you can give us an estimate of distance.
5 meters,
10 meters?
It might be 10 meters, something like that. Yes.
How did it feel being dragged on the ground like that?
ainke nyama waro Balo fa wa mbuka ma wonda samuna na dalil jumala na e manyininka e malo jumala dra ko nyama yen samba fo of so hono yona ke sim fara fulo tema yen bete.
I don't know why, because I don't understand it. Just apart from, just after alighting from the vehicle, he slapped me and then dragged me into an office.
I
fell down and he dragged me like that on the ground up to the office, and then he put me between his two legs.
He sat
without
down
asking me.
He sat down and put me between his two legs.
Yes.
That's around so that's in
He sat down. He sat down in a chair and he put me between his two legs and squeezed me and then started slapping me on both sides.
So
on both cheeks.
At that time, many of the NIA operatives came in there.
Let's try to get this picture. When he put you in between his two legs, were you seated on the floor or were you standing?
Ako, inga yeke line simfara fulo tema. For ibe sirin terror do wa for ibe loren.
I was sitting down on the ground. He was sitting on a chair and I was sitting on the ground.
How many times did he slap you?
Ayetulo buza sinyajelu.
Because I simfara fulo tema so you can't lo busa ro ibe nyiningal. I cannot
say how many, because when he slaps me, they keep on asking me, and after he slaps, others will also come and start slapping me as he was doing. So this was going along with questions.
In your opinion, who was in charge of the persons who were in the room at the time?
Itala miraloro jumala tartanu marali no mola mbare jumala mu nyako fundon koti obumu nyinkona ye
wo watola
watola nsavu memarela Fodebari. At that time I can say that Fodebari was their head.
Apart from okay, let me put it in a very neutral way. Who were the people present in the room at that time?
O watola jumal dum molti melbe tarta mabere ni obumu nyinkono je o watola
Lanjo ware I mean Jabata was there. Fodebari
ani dobe je kafa ninja.
There was another one called Ninja.
Ani atondela bangsa. Ni manja kontongo menna bangsa.
Mun kontom sifa la surwa kontongo
mulande
mandinka konto yola konto bambara konto
Baby jani bera asken yatulo wato ma abe
well, maybe I might remember him.
Can you describe him?
Isa mulundanyo for no ba
Balo so le
he was well built.
Ate katala kana balume ne ende samananje.
He goes in and out, but the day I was brought there,
that night, another nunjere.
He came there.
So not another no.
Because the time he came in there, that was the time when they were beating me, and he joined them and they beat me very well.
Yo, katafo ni Salmina Drame.
Was Salmina Drame.
Buta Jarangola.
He is from Jara. He was also there.
So this person whose name you can't remember, Salmina Drame, Ninja, Fodebari, Lamin Jabate. Those are the people you have named so far. Okay. So let's take it step by step. Now you've been brought into this room. You said somebody sat on the chair and placed you in between his legs and squeezed you. Who was this person? And what is his other name?
The other name is Babadin Njobate.
What other position do you know him to have held in this country?
At that time he was at the NIA, later on he was a lawyer. Magistrate judge. Afterwards he was appointed as a magistrate or a judge. As a Minister of Justice. From then he was appointed as the Minister of Justice.
Okay, who is the other person that participated? You said there were others who would also come and slap you while they were asking you questions.
Yes, just because but I also let him. But I also let him.
Okay. Okay.
There was a man.
His complexion.
Yes, he's in between black and fair complexion.
So he say a Balo Koita?
Mampata Balo.
Yes, but okay. He says Bampata Balo, a Balo Koita. What does that mean? Could you interpret that?
Mampata Balo means somebody who is in between fair coloredness and dark in complexion.
Okay. All right. And you said, are you okay, Mr. Witness, or you need?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay.
You're all right. Okay. And this person
you marry,
you don't remember his first name or his last name?
I forgot him just now, but I knew his name and surname all before.
Is that a name that you had given me before? Yes, I gave you the name before. I gave it to you, but maybe now I forgot, but it's there. Okay, just give me a minute. May I come approach Mr. Chair? Thank you.
Okay, yeah, so the one thing I came and well.
Mr. Witness, the chairman has permitted me to give you 10 names. Some I plucked out from the air. It's just in random names. Some of people who worked at the NIA. And you would, if you remember the name, you would tell us which name it is or which name you've remembered. James Cisse. Baba Demba. Musa Toure. Tamsir Fall. Hari Sambu.
Willem. Hari Sambu.
Hari Sambu Willem. Yes.
How do you know that it's Hari Sambu?
Because it will come say Sierra here.
Because there were many there.
Don't forget Joe Mendy.
There was one person called Joe Mendy.
So, brilliant torture.
So when they were torturing me,
comes up, you know the point I'll see here.
So just in fact I forgot a point. Please forgive me.
You told me Mudarani from Amanke Kanteh Walla from New Waro City because
because this was the time I was tortured. So whenever that time comes around,
because among comes that can be also follow back.
I'm not quite healed, I'm not quite well.
And we are not at for a school, I told Kamuja Sumani na watu vitambela kabiri November kada December so wala na diam confirm falendare bana waro sira hani nimna basire to be alo because na fo na waro sira kamal.
Well, this thing happens to me around November to December. Whenever this comes around, when the time comes around, this was the time they tortured me, so this thing happens to me. And even those I stay with, they know, I told them.
So NIA.
So at the NIA, I know Hari Sambu, there were many of them there at that time.
NIA 96.
By the time we were going to the NIA, it was in 1996.
Late Sambaba.
At that time, late Sambaba,
director of NIA.
He was the director of the NIA.
So
by the time we were being taken there.
So now let's talk about the torture. You told us about being Baba Dinding Jabate putting you in between his legs and he was slapping you. And others joined in. Who are those who joined in and beat you?
Hari Sambu was there. For everybody. Ninja. Salimina. Joe.
And other people may told London.
Well, some other guys, I don't know their names. Yes, they were in there.
All these people you named, did they torture you?
All of them beat me. I won't tell lies against them. No, I won't tell lies against them.
I want to get this absolutely, I want to get emphatic answers from you.
And
I remind you that you are under oath. You have an obligation to speak the truth. Salmina Drame, did he hit you?
Salmina Drame,
Yes. In fact, he was saying that these people just take them and give them to the crocodiles. Because by the time when we were there, myself and Yaya Drame were in the same cell. They took us towards the area where Bambadinka.
Bambadinka
We were left at the place called Bambadinka, myself and Yaya Drame.
Okay, just a moment.
So
You said Salmina Drame hit you.
because Salmina drama ye mala ay lipal.
Yes.
Fode Bari?
Ode bare ye lipal.
He was the man hitting me on my head with a stick.
Hari Sambu, did he beat you?
Hari sambulum fanam bulo ye mala.
Yes.
And for how long did this particular torture session last? This was your first day at the NIA.
Yakilo baba nyinam dum follow de be NIA. Nyi butero nyi ay wati jellel ta iba kay kangida.
Yes, this question is good. Because this beating, the first day when I was taken to the NIA, after they beat me that night, to tell them who I was, whether I was part of the Farafenni attack group or they didn't have anything from me, no answers. Throughout that night they were beating me, but they were unable to get any response from me. So the following morning, they took me out again, out of Bambadinka.
Up to this moment, you have not been taken to the hospital.
Oh, what will be me sambala bitano do kejara.
No.
How about the bullet wound that you were suffering? It wasn't attended to.
Kidikeso ni yebu kidikeso men hani wo fa ima imenya tili wo fa la pour ka ju.
No. Kalo wo fa kan some of them were even stamping on that area of my leg with their boots, with their shoes. So when it was daybreak the following day, they took me out of Bambadinka. They took me to the office again. So that's how I was in their hands. They were beating me and questioning me. But up to that point, I didn't give them anything.
On this occasion, who was involved?
That second beating, Lamin Jobate, the Fodebari, the Samusar, Colonel Samusar, and Colonel Samsar.
Excuse me? Who's this third person you mentioned?
Samsar. Samsar, he was the next man to Babkar Jata at that time.
But Colonel Samsar was in the headquarters, the army headquarters. He was not at the NIA.
Colonel Samsar, watola abe sojaro la korda balton ma mantanum NIA la korda ton.
Yes, let me clarify that point. He came there around after lunch time.
Who came there?
Samsar and Babkar Jata came there. So when they came, at that time I was made to sit on the ground.
Were you fully clothed at the time?
No.
What happened to your clothes?
I was stripped. I was just wearing my underwear, my knickers. So when I was made to sit down, so they were beating me and still questioning me so that I can tell them that yes, I was part of the group. So I was there. Samsar came with Babkar Jata. So when he entered,
So ate Samsara ala army combat nya ndamfu.
He himself, Samsar, with his army combat boots, he kicked me.
But I ndamfu so demundara kurupano kallepankoro.
When he kicked me, he started hitting me with his hands on my back. He was also kicking me on my back.
Could you come to the front and demonstrate to the commission how he was doing it?
When I was sitting down on the ground,
so
with only my underwear, when he came with Babkar Jata,
so
the moment he came in, he kicked me with his army combat. So when I fell down,
so
he used his army combat and started stamping on my head.
While you were lying on the floor like that?
Yes.
Okay. Can you show us how he was stamping on you?
He was stamping on me with insults. Yes, he was using that word and stamping on me.
So apart from stamping you, did he use his hands against you?
Yes, he used to blow me on my back with his hands. Babkar Jata came and held him.
Hey,
Babkar Jata said to him, hey, this man has been brought here. You are not yet, we don't know as yet whether he was part of the attackers of Farafenni or not, and now you are treating him like this. Now if you kill him, you will explain yourself. That's what Babkar told him.
But how do you know who was Samsar and who was Babukar Jata? You can take your seat.
Because it all Babkar Jata could not army commander, army commandant.
I know them because when I was sitting down there, they told me this is the army commander and this is his deputy.
But how do you manage to remember these names?
They told me, but the Mandinka proverb goes, the person who kills the animal for food, well, he will forget, but the person whom you refuse to give a share will not forget.
So I bet Dr. Cisse didn't know that one. Proceed, Mr.
So,
After that, they were still unable to get any.
Mr. Witness, do you recall what Samsar was wearing during that event?
He was in full uniform.
How do you know that he was colonel?
He was having the ranks on his body.
It will only have time.
And they also told me at that time.
Can you give us a description of Samsar?
Samsar amulun tonye ya foi sai tandi foi sai ofo no nyaba mo nya di dem
Samsar waron balona
Samsar
ajam fara sambre.
the time I knew him, he was a tall man.
Balo mo landa tambu waraka.
He is not very well built, not to that extent.
Because
Because if you compare him with Babkar Jata, Babkar is more well built than him, but he was taller than Babkar.
Okay. In which language did he insult you? You said he insulted you. You also said he said motherfucker. Excuse my language. Did he insult you in any other language?
No, he was just using this word in English.
So after Samsar beat you, what happened next?
Because what happened?
So another
That was the time they caught Yaya Drame. When Yaya was brought, at that time they had not got any response from me. Now they wanted to release me. And what they said was that as far as we were unable to get anything from this man, if the sun goes down, then we can release him.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned 2 torture sessions.
Yes.
The first was the day you arrived. And this was the second day we were at the NIA. Was this the time Drame was brought in?
It was the second day that Yaya Drame was arrested and brought in there.
And so what happened when Yaya was brought?
When Yaya came, he was escorted by soldiers. His hands were cuffed behind him. When he just was approaching, at that time their office was open. I was sitting down on the ground in there. So when Yaya saw me, he said, Balo. That was the end of peace for me. That was the time they said, so he is one of them. So from that instant, I am unable to know where beatings were coming from. So when they beat me again,
do you know who are the people that participated in this beating?
No time escort. So no jama no also well, at that time there were many of them. So when these soldiers escorted Balo into the compound, and the moment he saw me, when Yaya was brought in, and the moment he saw me, he said Balo. From that moment, these people all came against me.
So we want to know who participated in it.
I mentor of Sokonoji, forever of Sokonoji, the people Sam Sarbe, Joe the people he counted like this, Joe Mendi, Harisambu, Salmina Drame, they were all present, and Ninja, they were all there.
Did all these people participate in your torture?
Yes, very well.
Kindly tell us the names of those you know tortured you on that occasion.
silang afonye yemenu tol long menu da bulata ya wi lay dum kono lumene be lay bute la nyum.
This would be your third torture.
Nyina be kele lum sabanyaw de be lipala ko
No, not lum sabanyaw.
No sabanyaw
lum fulanyaw but liparugo sabanyaw.
Lum sabanyaw ba samina lum sabanyaw la karola before that janniwo be kala buri yaya drame nati yalo wo benta lum fulanjaw le fe wonu yo ke wonu ma mun da wonu kilin e bute singa fulale ko yo akayinin ka wala la wo bute fulanjaw yalo yo bute fulo kele han fo ko yari man ko so wabulu asike wuraro ngabula yo kola lo mila foroto ye yaya drame nati buri yaya drame ye to kumandi ko kayro banda wutumole so akayinin ka wala kayro la bandi jumani le muruta nan ko ta ke lipa sinya fulanjaw lum kilin ko I built also gonna be for the those for cleaning for the people he found in the office there were Jobate himself plus for the bari I mean Salmina was there, Harisambu was there, Joe was there.
Joe, what's his last name?
Joe Mendy.
And who else?
And Ninja. And other people, and some other more I cannot remember their names because there were many.
At this time, where was Samsar?
You tell me, Samsar
he was there. By the time they were bringing him, he was there and he was part of the torturing team. He was there.
Babukar Jata, was he there?
Babukar Jata,
he was there, but he didn't touch me. Because it's better to tell the truth. He didn't touch me. He was there, but he didn't touch me.
All right, we would take it again, and we just want clarity as to who tortured you and who did not torture you. I must apologize, Mr. Chair. I just have to do this, be pedantic about it, and make sure that we have it in the record exactly who did what.
Ko be kele kiaman aba kiaman ko fonsi ninge drum isaje kuma sena soto isaje men safero men frambe safela kuma sena o soto je membe safela je.
Mr. Jobate, did he beat you on this occasion, this second time of torture on that day?
Yes. Mr. Jobate fo ay lipar fulanjaw men ya kela bang.
Yes.
For the Barry, did he beat you on this second occasion?
For the Barry,
yes, always he was having a stick and he used to beat me on my head.
Salmina
drama.
Yes.
Yes, what?
He also beat me.
Harisambu?
Yes, Harisambu also.
Also what?
He also beat me.
Joe Mendy
also beat me.
Babukar Jata?
No, Babukar Jata didn't touch me. Ninja touched me.
Samsar
also. He tortured me, he beat me.
And then what happened after all this beating?
After all this beating, when Yaya was brought in, so Yaya was taken to another hall there. So they stripped him completely naked. So they went and cut some lime. Plus some vinegar. Plus some petrol. So and it was put on a cotton. So and I was also brought into the hall. So and now they wanted because what they wanted to do was to put that into his anus. And if you do that to a person, he dies immediately. So when they were unable to do that to him,
what did they try?
They tried very well to do it.
Why didn't they succeed?
It
might be Allah's intervention.
Did Yaya Drame, did he submit? Or he resisted?
For Yaya Drame, Balantara bang for Yaya Fanny Tuibun.
How can you resist when there were many people against you? Because his right hand was bent and twisted until it was broken.
Who did that?
Many of them were in their soldiers, Lamin Jabati and others. A lot of them surrounded him. They surrounded him and were standing over him.
So let me ask you this question. You know Lamin Jabati is a trained lawyer.
Lamin Jabati,
do you know that?
I know that.
You know Harisambu is also trained in the law. These people know that torturing is a serious offense. Samsar was a very senior officer of the Gambia Armed Forces, of the Gambia National Army. All these people know that torturing is prohibited. Are you suggesting that all these people with that knowledge sat there and participated in your torture? They had no knowledge, because if they had the knowledge at that time, they wouldn't have participated. But if they had the knowledge also, then it was useless to them. They wouldn't have done what they did.
So what will come and get to buy Jamalo Palace on India. So we do whole dictate on it. So the left Palace no anintorno. So we can do Bangudin Jawal, Bangudin Kendall.
What they were doing, it was for a position. Because Yaya Jammeh gave them this position, so they were doing it to please him. So they took us as the bad elements of the country, so they were the good ones for the country.
So this Yaya, you said they tried to insert that object into his anus, but they did not succeed.
Iko ya katala puruka nyimfengota kadunda akoma, but ima keno.
And you said that they pushed his palm, his hand, basically backwards until they broke it.
Ndiko ya wala mbulutero fana mulukondi mtero mudara ya ngaji fo ya kati.
Yes.
Do you know what else they did to him?
Yala na ninku floor kola fo ye kudo fana kala leba.
Je kay tocorun kay container so bandana lewa nyokano je wonu minna brio kay man soksi ya bulo kadi e ban soksi so after o kola ina ramura wona maka onko fuka afai bamba dinka.
Well, after all this torturing, when they were unable to insert that object into his anus, and they went on until they broke his hand, then when all those failed to make him talk, they decided to take him and throw him into Bambadinka.
And
handcuffed him
and threw him into
Bambadinka.
And what happened to you?
After that.
So
they came back to me and started asking me, and during that beating I talked.
So when
I talked,
so
I told them I was part of the team.
I already very enjoyed
Because already I knew that when Yaya saw me, I knew that he recognized me.
So nara for ndabe.
I said to them, yes, I was one of them.
So arole nara nyininka.
That was the time they went on asking me.
So buri be nyininka kan.
When they were asking me.
So nara for komsa nara bunda kambe nyamani nara fama nyame.
And as the time when I narrated the whole thing to them, how I came into the Gambia, I went to my father, I explained all that to them.
So it hadn't farmer arrest.
So they went and arrested my father.
So mantra je bari afono ko konzandola korda.
I wasn't there, but as I was told, our compound,
soldiers
came and surrounded the whole compound when they were arresting my father.
Hold a second. Let's take it a step backwards. In describing your torture for the second day, did, apart from beating you, did they put anything on you?
No, they didn't do anything like that until when they brought my father. They brought my father and one of my sisters called Nyomo Jamme. And another lady who was brought from Soma with her child, but I don't know them.
So afterwards,
that was the time when they forced me again. They wanted me to say that Jawara was part of it and Sehu Sabali.
So
they said by force those people were part of the attempt, so I have to say that.
Who told you that?
Jobate and Fodebari.
Are you certain? Yes, I told them that these people, I don't know them, and I cannot say anything like that. Just to save my skin.
My life.
But when they brought my father, plus my sister Nyomo Jamme, plus another lady from Soma, I don't know her.
Okay, just a moment. Before you confessed being involved, as part of the torture, did they connect you to any particular object?
Yes, they did that. So that I can talk. Even during the beatings, they did that to me. Yes, they electrocuted me yes, they were doing that, electrocuting me. It went on for so many times in those 2 days. Sometimes they will put it in my ear, sometimes on the sole of my feet.
The electrocution device, to what was it connected, as far as you know? Yes, they put it, it's just wires fixed to a plug.
So they have so
they will come and put it on your leg or in your ear, on your ear. The time when we were there, that's how they were torturing us.
Did they burn you with anything?
Yes, I'm coming to that also. When they brought my father, plus my sister,
so
That was the time they brought me out of Bambadinka. After bringing me out of Bambadinka, they stripped me in front of my father.
Mr. Witness, I am sorry about this. Are you able to proceed?
Yes, I can continue.
If at any point you feel that you cannot continue, please let us know.
I will be able to continue.
Thank you very much. Proceed, please.
When I was brought, my father was sitting down. My sister was there. There was another lady who was arrested in Soma with her child. The underwear I had was taken off me, and I was stark naked in front of my father. They tied my hand. And they tied me just as when they are about to slaughter a cow. When they did that to me, they brought a bag. They gave Joe Mendy this plastic bag. So I told them for they were the people standing over me for the Bari Joe Mendy and Babadin Njabate. So they lighted this plastic bag and were putting it on my body so that I can talk. When they put light storage and when it was burning, that oil or that liquid from the burning plastic will be stripping on me. So that's what they were doing. So Baba Dindi took one of my breasts and cut it off with a razor blade.
Excuse me, Mr. Witness. What do you mean by what you have just said?
He just cut off my one breast with a razor blade because of wickedness.
So you mean to say that one of your nipples is gone but because Baba Dinding Jobate took a razor blade and cut it off.
Amunde left awala le sunju kara kelimo yo bota jele o dawde mo nyindali lo kam Baba Dinding Jobate tele lansiro ta e kundu.
Ha, yes, Mr. Witness, you are on the oath.
Sedo akoy be kalo la koto de. Be kalo wonta kan la.
I have sworn and I will not tell lies against him.
Adu bidandra kaso kono.
Because when he came and found me in the jail,
nkai konsi yamfano lo bande ni nalala yoni kala dawda mbasata la.
I told him that I can forgive, but I will never forget. And wherever I am asked, I will narrate it.
How did he respond?
He just
went his head. There's nothing we can do.
Are you willing, Mr. Witness, to show this to the commission?
Yes, really, very well.
Go ahead. In the meantime, Mr. Chairman, I have pictures, so I would share the pictures for the commissioners to have a better look. Could you show the commission? And let this be filmed, please. Mr. Witness, you don't mind it being filmed and showed to the public, do you?
For abengini ngaka na rata kele bulu kolia de puru ya fintindi television o dunia be ajam fo abekola lebul.
No problem. No problem.
Please go ahead.
To
the chair. The left breast.
Sunju mara sunju lambang.
Yes.
Yes, it's the left breast.
I think it's quite obvious that something is missing on the left breast. The nipple is missing.
But
what are those spots just below your breast?
Those marks were caused by liquid of a burning plastic. Because when they were torturing me, so they told me you will never get married again. Jomendi told me that if we deal with you, you will never be able to function as a man, never again until you die. I told him, you said what you intend. But I haven't heard it from Allah. If Allah says that I will not be able to function as a man again, well, that's what will happen. My father was sitting down. My father cried. My father told them, his deeds, I wasn't aware of it. But saying that I am his father, yes, I am his father from this world till the next world. Because when Yaya Jammeh was taking over this country, he didn't inform his parents. This man also didn't inform me. If he had told me, I wouldn't allow him to do it. And they told my father very hard words. Then my father became sick after. Up to this time. Out of conscience. Up to this time,
let him sit down.
My father cannot recover. Up to this moment, he is just like that.
Mr. Witness, before you wear your clothes, did they do anything to you below your nipple? Below your belly button?
For kukela lebang bata kumoyo du mala for ila tilimbali afutata je lebang ambara kumoyo du because ndar le fo lebang fam bukan sumuno menjan yes there was a time when I cannot even urinate because they treated me in many different ways.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I have pictures of that too.
Thanks.
Please wear your clothes and be seated. on this one.
Balo Kanteh, Anketu Kemeke, Mara Baraka, Amini Information Menu Commission, Marahaku, Ketu.
Mr. Chair, I have provided the Commission with a set of pictures. Just showing the types of scars on the witness's body. Balo Kanteh.
Balo Kanteh.
Now,
Who would you say are the people who are responsible for all this suffering you went through at the NIA? All of them.
Ite ba fola jumala tarna marling nyim kuola min dete jawo ni kolea jawol men late kan NIA ni molbe iba fola jumala ma kunduko be jumala marla kola.
Name all of them.
Ibetofo. Baba Dini Njobate, Fode Bari, Salamino Drame, Harisambu, Samsar, Jomendi, Ninja. They were there.
Thank you very much. But as at the time they were doing all this to you, in the presence of your father, where were these women that you mentioned? You said were also arrested.
They were sitting there. The other one was my sister. The other woman, I don't know her, but she was arrested from Soma.
There was also a child, you said.
Yes, the lady had a child. She was arrested from Soma.
And was the child also present when you were being tortured? When you were being spread like a cow under the slaughter, as you put it?
Yes, the child was there because the child was The child was suckling. I don't know how many months or years did that child have, but the child was suckling. So my sister is called Nyomo Jamme. Toto kela no waro yon ura kombai ulo nyam mfama nyatu ani to be nyatu ngola je. Yes, mfama kumbora ko ali fen jala ndala wulo de ali fen ko kabun do for jam ndala wulo mu wulo de ngola dundan bannato mu fen kera lan tan bannato ndal wulo de. Yes, but then it happened in the presence of all these people I mentioned. But when they were doing this to me, the time they stripped me naked, my father cried and told them, well, he is my biological son. Whatever you do to him, okay, but I will never reject him. He is my son.
And you told us earlier that something happened to your father.
So I called me another farmer out of concert because I'm farmer with them. Yeah, they told him many hard words which later traumatized him to the point of being somebody who is not mentally balanced nowadays. Because even today, I have one of my younger brothers. Sana is staying in jail. Sana is staying there. So I had to cut him farmer, Balapurkam farmer, and he's always there to help my father plus my stepmother. So I find I informed him that I am going to do my testimony today. So because because people are not equal. So before somebody will go and explain it to him in another way, and which might create another problem for him.
I told him to be near him all the time.
Kana muda ko kudola wala problem la banga wala fendola banga sta ya kudo ko.
Before he will think that I am in a problem or something has happened to me which might cause another problem for him.
Up to this moment, what to the point you confessed, did you receive any medical attention?
Ani emotel na follow after being called back,
No, they didn't give me
Just answer that question.
No.
Okay. So at what stage were you made to make a statement on GRTS?
What did you malam inarane fit in the purita kuma kama di GRTS?
Brian torturing back na for parera.
After all this torturing until they were ready,
Arondani ya drama we.
By that time I was there with Yaya Drame.
So waro na model mo someone follow. Umar Dampanyo kara sile marsa ani esabal.
Because by that time the others haven't arrived yet. Esa and Omar Damfa, they have not yet arrived.
Suleiman
Sar.
So waro endol mo follow samba telero.
That was the time when the two of us were taken in front of the TV.
So waro Balo vejanin so boso me ya bonga kaji ji.
And that time, my body was burnt, and even if you look properly at that time, there were some water drips coming out of my body.
So waro le yo kana na fulano time mbuka atare for almost 1.5 days mbuka sumuna keno.
And that was the time it went up till 1.5 days. I'm unable to urinate.
So you left a pipe or somebody na purka bulana.
He wanted to bring a pipe so that I can be able to urinate.
So I
said to them, no, I refused.
Because no one there stand up for the ground.
They might damage me.
So when
I rejected that. And that was the time if I have water to drink. I always recite something and spit it inside the water and drink it until Allah helped me to be able to urinate. That's how it happened.
I am interested in how your statement on GRTS was done. How was it organized?
Well, they organized it as the way they wanted to appear. That's how they decided to do it.
Who decided on what you were to say on GRTS?
What they told me was that during the torturing session after I confessed, they told me to repeat the same words in front of the GRTS cameras.
So do force la purka irandiko jawra davendo la kuderarlo wala seku sabal dawen ndama.
And in that they made it a force on us to say that Jawara was also involved with Shehu Sabali. And I didn't know those people. That's how they did it.
Did you say that?
I said it. It's even in my statement, it's there. Because by the time I was doing this, I was not myself.
Because
Because the time when they were torturing me was the time when they were writing that statement.
Do you recall the person who was writing the statement?
Lamin Jawad.
Do you recall who told you to say that Jawara and Shehu Sabali were involved in the attack?
For hekilo samudano jumale nyininkaro wardo jumale ofo kafo yafo ko Jawara ni Shehu Sabali adabalo bo idabalo bo inka onyinkona.
What do you worry?
Was he alone? Was he the only person who said it?
Adamale ofo bamfo
atlem mori brayo ofo dron so mbuso do jobo nunjo abanga abafanya dia
Yes.
Nini talat
He was the person who said that, and by that time, Joe was having this nylon bag which was burning, and he was spilling this nylon, burnt liquid nylon on me, saying that, speak, if I am ready with you, you will not be able to function as a man again.
Who else told you to say that Jawara and Sabali were involved?
Watakola jumala fana yo fo pour ite ya foko Jawara ni Seku Sabali daba boinga onyinkona le.
Ngamo 4 day la time. At that time I had it only from 4 day.
Okay. Earlier on you told us that Baba Dindin Jabate also said so. Which is which?
Comment to ye info nyela ko Baba Dindin Jabate fana ye info ne pour yafo. Sa jumala njumati.
I don't know yes, all of them said this, but it was not at the same time.
But you are certain that both of them said it?
Yes. Yes.
You are on the oath?
I swear I know that I am on the oath. Even in my statement, if you check, you will find it there.
Okay. All right. So, the confession you made on television, was it voluntary?
Because he told somebody no. Because Magandiano by Sambo Betel Blogon. No, it was against my will because they had power in their hands. And I had no choice, and that's what they wanted. So they took me there and made me say these things.
After your confession, what happened? After you were presented before the GRTS, what happened?
So after that, I was brought back to the NIA. So I was placed in Bambadinka, myself and Yaya Drame. So we went on, continued staying at Bambadinka. So during that period, they tried and made it possible for doctors to come and check us there. So some doctors come from the RBTH. So they come there. So because at that time all my body was burned, and in fact some water was dripping out of some of the sores on my body. So and also my leg where I was shot with a gun bullet. So and around that time there was still a bullet lodged in my leg and it was bleeding too. So yes, those doctors used to come there to check us. So that's what they were doing until when Allah's help arrived. November. We were there since from November, December, January. From January till July, transfer mile 2. I cannot remember which day it was in January when they transferred us to mile 2.
Up to this stage, have you seen a lawyer? Nobody mentions a lawyer at that time.
What time was soldier roll men for control country, so a soldier roll someone and special American country and in paral and in police all. In fact, in those days they brought in police, soldiers and members of the paramilitary unit to guard us. I forgot one point in fact. When we were in Bambadinka after the torturing session, there was a day when I was sitting inside Bambadinka. I was listening to the radio and I heard my own obituary being read over Radio Gambia. So it will fall young Bambadinka Radio Gambia. They brought me out and they themselves were questioning me. Who took this obituary to Radio Gambia? For policeman or over and Birkama. until one policeman came from Brikama. He was among those who were guarding us. But a very good person. I forgot his name. But he once traveled and went to Basse. So the night he came back, his sons or his children told him, it was announced over GRTS that Balo has died. They said his corpse has been taken to Pakali today. The following morning, early, that man came to the NIA and went to Bambadinka and asked them, where is Balo? So I told him, iso telephone kai ko telephone mo jane ba fo kan ta fon findina na sinda tulo ba. The reply they gave him was that well, we also had this announcement from this here, from the place here, and in fact we brought him out and talked to him, but it was announced over the radio.
So when you were taken now to Mile 2 prison, where were you detained?
Biri yesamba Mile 2 Kasibumbaro. Yesamba Mintole kesindi.
Yes, Samba confinement number 1. I was taken to confinement number 1.
VIP or below VIP?
VIP mokumal lagi Samba dame to bang fo amang kay moningol men mang kumaya bagi Samba dame.
Ani je kay komiser ka ni isa fo no komiser ka ni men masa kunda dunda nyole komiser ma ani na so ni masa kunda dunda nyola e ka komiser jongol dal. Well, just like slaves, people who were not in good terms with the government, they were treated like slaves, and a place where they took us to was a place only fit for slaves.
Could you describe the conditions?
Ingraning yalma wada men do foisi jel al halo ni sa phone ake baro ni ake nyanyin phone no nyamba
because ndolbe da mando, because where we were kept bunda sabala bendon nin bolu fanante, there were 3 doors between us and the others. Lawam fanka jeto la Rebel Island. In the end we called that place as Rebel Island.
Rebel Island?
No, Robert Island. Robert's Island.
Robin Island.
Robin Island.
Yes, Robin Island. So that place, when we were taken there, so it becomes some way for them. They don't allow people mostly to reach us because you have to pass through 3 to 4 doors before reaching us. Before you reach us.
In your cells,
in a cell,
how were you sitting there? Were you restrained or you were free?
Itar rasirin munje nyali lo fo itar rasirin de bang fo betar be fande mo
birin dol fura radio jolo amanka anko voti de jolo when we reached there, the type of restraint they put on slaves, that was the type of restraints, chain irons which were put on us, not handcuffs. That's what they attached on our legs and on our hands. So that's how we were inside those cells.
How long did it take in your detention before these chains were removed?
What jelelta itarra Morocco no waro menna janni benin chenol bonile bulol bala bata singo bala
yo janni ben chenol bonlam bulol bala yamra oman sa on because bere yes somebody I thought it might be up to 1 year because from the time we were taken there, these chains were put on us from a court kumas until we started going to court. When we are about to go to the court, we go with these chains because myself and my people, I was the first accused person. So whenever we were going, we will go into the truck with them
Ikan escort line armor kala.
They escort us with their armor cars,
So ikan escort wala for court.
and that's how they take us all the way to the court.
So no cheno la kabula box okono.
We go into the box with those chains.
Safono just so-called judges about the hearing.
I can say there were only so-called judges, about 3 sitting in front of us.
What do you mean by so-called judges?
You know, koto munati kafoko so-called jojo le siri inya al nyati ngolaje.
Because niya jano fo.
The reason why I said that,
But mankaram barnga yung longo may luwa mani alaw pro nido ibra court yetra sirre wala nyama. Ibe sirin jojo na to inyo do referi do mo sorla.
because although I didn't go to school, formal schooling I didn't do it, but I know it might be against the law for somebody who has been taken to court to still be restrained like that.
Okay. During this, in the meantime, your other colleagues, what happened to them?
Fo watola imo nyodo kote ngono munena na ke wonna.
Namo nyo jumalu.
Dampa,
Okay.
Sar, Aning Balde.
No will be selected on them. Baker annual, Bay annual.
The question is, at what stage were they apprehended?
Kama nyini ka yol muda wa ko wati jumalla.
Okay. Wolfana ye tolo arrest nang ye samana NIA ye run NIA.
Yes, they were also arrested and brought to the NIA, but they found us at the NIA.
NIA.
Do you know whether they were tortured at the NIA?
Ya na mamfo yol fana tajiri ya na yela ba.
Ye tajirial. Mandra nyoka ndabari ye tajirial.
Yes, they were tortured. Although we were not together, but they were tortured.
Ye tortured because dolbe sel dor fana be sel dor.
Because
Niga mo tortured jama be. Niya klo ka wor ka umare ka lang ko jumani.
yes, and during those torture sessions, although we were in a different cell, but you can hear their screams and you can recognize the voice.
While you were at NIA,
Yambo men na benung NIA.
did you give a confession about the guns, the hunting rifles that you received?
Fo I sonta nyin na labang kido nyin na kora memu nyin kido nyin na kora bang ka ko ya sota labang.
Cartouche ni tungkang.
Wo nga wo foje nga fola.
Yes, I mentioned it there.
Did you tell them the name of the person who made them?
Ya fo enda ba mo mare nyi meyo karusol dada ba.
Nga fo na wa comme ça sa ngina rato la war nga foje re.
Yes, I said it, but right now I forgot the name, but I mentioned it to them there.
Does the name Sehu Kamara ring a bell?
Ni Seku Kamara to moy fo si yakilo bulande moto wala ba.
Wala fam.
Yes, he's the very guy.
Do you know what happened to him?
Ya na munana kedala ba.
So burin dole afara fanya attack don. Nga to for itara arrest na aning dimbe mo me alon ko sanji tan sey kabiro do mani yo fana arrest na anin kabiro do mani mbe keba men bulo fara fene so yo fana arrest na.
Yes, the moment I mentioned his name, they went and arrested him. They arrested the young man who was Kabiro's younger brother, the guy who was 18 years old, and they also arrested the landlord. And the landlord where the man was staying.
The landlord?
Yes, the landlord.
What has the landlord got to do with it?
All they said was that was the place where we stayed. That's why he was arrested.
Okay. Do you know what happened to
I forgot one point. The yard owner was arrested along with his wife.
the wife too?
Yes.
Do you know what happened to Kamara?
Yeah,
to Seku Kamara?
Muna kira Seku Kamara laba.
Seku Kamara buri asa mona jere ya barande bat.
Seku Kamara, when he was brought there, he really suffered.
Ya samba bula dol rono.
Because they took him to another place.
Amra meta auto janna bola jere ngamra to chorun be soro bula ro.
I think he stayed at that place for some time, and I think he was tortured there.
Do you know whether he is still alive?
Ya la fo han kabi fo be balure ba.
Kamara ngamwe ka bandal ke banyum bandal.
Yes, Camara, I heard that he has passed away.
Do you know how soon he passed after his torture at NIA?
Ya la ne bang piri ya muta ya sama na NIA ya tajire ya je abularam ko la wati jel delta janninga be banna.
Mamero amamme
It didn't take long.
1 month, 2 months?
Killing karifula
amara na siara atatambula karsabola ron.
If it maximum, I can say it will be not more than 3 months.
But of course, this is hearsay.
ba ni moyla quality kuma kan
Yes.
And while you were at mile 2,
tembo me la benu mile 2 fo e tumir de kan odala banka fo e nyine tinyo luwala karola ba
Ani ngawat ke jere jani e chaji so ni sambarana.
No, we were there for some time before they brought all those charges.
how long?
wati jel delta janne yo tumir kay rol nat lal kan
Tumur kairo ni ngamira insafo no ngamira karkelin ke jele wala tumando war namiror. Wo summan minara ku jamana wala namiror no karkelin ke wala mesiara ori. So time olem inara chaji so ni samana.
As far as I can remember, I think we spent 1 month or even more than that. But I cannot remember everything exactly. But I can say about that, that was the time when these charges were brought, either 1 month or a little bit after that.
Could you tell us the conditions in the cell, the conditions of the cell you were detained in?
mile 2 o NIA council
At mile 2?
ako fo si selo ni al halo mile 2 fo si je fo no nyabanga jebe nyaadi la
Yendo samba selo mendo selo nyindo ara.
The cell where we were put in is a very small cell.
O selo ni
That cell,
biriyan sambaje.
when we were taken into that cell,
Nga babar jaro tran babaro ka wala ni comme ça babar telam.
it was a plank of wood which we found inside there.
So babar telam ni
That plank of wood,
so ngalla wala kan.
that's what we used to lie down on.
So mbeje mbajata mbulde
We were there and we had no blankets,
fendembul.
nothing else.
Beje fo nga kumas kata court.
We were there until we started going to court.
So waron bitaje ndol bitaje waron nga sisele traje.
Duma Sise.
Sandarongo koro man fo Modi Sise.
The time when we were going there, we found somebody called Modu Sise. He was one time a gendarme officer,
Barat la time o mamme.
but he was not there for a long time.
Waro nimbita court.
So at that time when we were going to court,
Min kurtu sudu mo kala.
we used to go with short trousers,
Singenzo.
barefoot,
Ani jolo.
and also chained.
So lundo solo da.
So one day,
So Sise na raje ko ngulan kara nyame.
Sise came there just when we were about to go.
So anara la ofsa do ka ka teta samaro sanna.
He sent one of his officers and told him to go and buy a pair of shoes for me.
Ba bire samaro ni samana.
But when these shoes were brought,
Musa sembo dal.
because he was not that powerful,
Bire samaro ni na mu adanda lungulin le abusin.
I think I wore those shoes only one day and it was taken away from me.
So ngara court wo nyama.
That's how we went on going to court.
Yo bari jani mbira court no time charge so ni.
But before we went to court, the charges,
Ika chawdo Pambai.
there was a man called Pambai,
And Interior Minister member in this right now.
and the Interior Minister presently, who is the present Interior Minister,
It will charge so somebody mile too.
they brought the charges for us at mile 2.
So we charge so in samana.
When these charges were brought,
And what is the name of the Interior Minister?
Yankuba Sonko,
All he did was to come and bring the charges to you.
men beke wala min ronka tumir kay to nyinka nati kasoro je do may wala ke
yes, yes.
There was somebody na charge comes I bring na ko ngana purnali charge.
And that's what he said to us. When he came, they said, we are sent here to come and prepare these charges for you.
In aran charge,
And we were charged.
treason charge.
Treason.
9 charges and charge one.
Yellow?
9 charges.
9 counts of treason.
Yen charge wala.
That's what we were charged with.
Yen charge.
I want to know the conditions of the cell. Okay, were you allowed to have shower?
Lafta selo nyin alhalo nyin lonna. Fo e ka silo dia lalon pour aliye kuba.
Ikara fo ndo tarraye fo karwa.
We were there up to 6 months.
Manjelam farawa.
We never had the chance to take showers.
6 months.
Karworo.
Yes.
So karworo kono.
Within those 6 months,
Buka findile.
you don't go out.
Ye komsa ni kalono no katulo hehe.
Just like these small oil gallons.
Nyemenga namara liter muanta.
I think the 20 liter,
So kawolo kundum
that's what they cut in half.
Ni akunduten.
When it was cut off,
Ya half ording.
they will give one half to the other man and the other half to somebody else.
Sa ikera everything be wala.
That's where you do your everything.
So nimfano kera.
In daybreak, when it is daylight,
Sa mess board member ye.
so the mess boys who are there,
So 6 mono kone kawolo kumana wala kana wota ira yabong.
so within these 6 months, those mess boys are the people who will come and collect those things and go and empty them.
So niya empty ro ya murninga.
After they were emptied, they will bring them back.
Ya samana niya kontong fana samana domoro.
And when lunch is also brought,
Fana kamda nila batundo be bungo kono to.
just like if you have a ship in a house,
So ilo batundo ni are domoro nyara ka yadi ala.
just how you treat a ship, you will just come and put the food
Ni mena domoro de
inside.
Yela bundaso.
If your food is placed inside, they lock up the door.
You were under seal pretty much.
Munta mosa fono albe silrinda wala ni mo buka diamal buka mo ya ni mo buka kaja. Ha.
Yes.
For how long?
Fo wo tarra fo wati jelu.
Ola waro from mere sa ko tarle. Omna amna 2 years o sila fonsa.
It went nearly up to 2 years.
Tarle fondala mbalo nya quite a fresh.
And in fact, the thing went on until I became fair-colored.
So niya bulo malate.
If you touch my skin,
Ke jangle ko kano.
it burns like pepper.
So tato condition or kono.
That's the type of condition we were in at that time.
How about the food?
Tomorrow no.
Hani woman better ala fen.
No, that's not at all good.
Because waron do vira mile to waron.
By the time when we were going to Mile 2,
Usan dolkar ka fengo tabi ka futo ke simo de ka kombifo chaka.
and in those days they used to cook couscous for dinner and they will put corned beef on it.
So barbiri alon ko wolundol kana.
So when they knew that we are coming,
Ko chewdo je ka fa sefla.
there was somebody who they used to call Sefla.
Yo
What's his first name?
To found.
ya jajo.
Yeah, Jaju.
Yes, proceed.
So ye cool ta ye lamande.
They changed everything.
So by your time of na
But at that time also,
de ara sise benunje.
Sise was there,
Bari sise man na meje.
but Sise didn't stay there long.
Ani dobe je ka fa ndaw ke ba sutu molanden abara suguta.
And there was a short old man from Sukutra, Ndau,
Nyina ta la sona baba ndaw.
but it's Ndau.
Daw sut manon ke ba sutu molanden.
A short old man.
Bari wala ko fa mo be to baro burun to law do moro isa fa ngana do moro kendo so time on.
I think that was organized by that man so that we will not get good food.
So time on mbuka do moro kendo so.
You don't get good food at all.
So ntarta wala kono.
That's how we were there
So for kaso problem o do so no.
until there was a problem in the jail there.
Aro mo moment ne ento sentence date sentence.
The day we were sentenced to death,
Ko inyantam fala.
they said we should be killed.
Wolunam
That was the day.
kaso problem o nyuso.
That problem occurred in the prison.
So waro nara ye morsi se bondi je wala nyam.
That's how Morisisi was removed from the prison
Ye somebody David la.
and David was put in charge.
So
David who?
David Koli.
David Koli.
Was he a good prison manager?
Fo ila londoro David Colley nyaton ka kendo la mbande kasi bungoro jeba.
Amang kata wala fa.
Far from that.
What do you mean?
Ila ko to molati.
David ngalon fondana ngato la ngafa John Furuni ne prison jamani ngaba ndel ka fa John Furuni.
David, I knew him to a level that I gave him a nickname called John Furunding.
What is that? What is John Furunding? What is Furunding?
John Furunding.
John Furunding. Comme ça au molti ala bere abali comme ça man bere aron.
Just somebody who is bad. That's why I just gave him that name.
Okay, so you were in mile 2 and now you are sentenced to death.
Yes.
Yes.
What happened? Did anything happen to any of your colleagues?
Yes, they were all locked up and said they should be killed. But before we were locked up,
at court that's
just a little bit before our court was to start, Yaya became sick.
Sentence
before they passed the sentence on us.
So
Yaya became sick.
Of what?
Internal bleeding.
Internal bleeding.
This internal bleeding, how did he get it?
Internal bleeding,
because of the beatings. That's how he got it.
And then what happened to him eventually?
When we were in the jail and after these torturing things started to have a toll on him, inside his cell there, because his leg was restrained by an iron chain, likewise his hand.
So till danda inara bondi asamba ila headquarters.
A few days later, he was removed from there and taken to their headquarters. There was a place where they decided to lay him down, and still his leg and hand were chained. Because it didn't take him long. He became sick on a Sunday and he died the following Sunday.
Would you say he died or he was killed?
Well, because he was removed from the cell and taken to that other place.
Maybe
I can say that they finished him up from at that point. You can see that when he became sick, the type of blood that comes out of him.
From where? Which part of it?
He was bleeding from his backside, his mouth. Yeah, he was bleeding from all these parts. But when he died, I can say they killed him. After they did that,
so after court,
then after that we went to court. When we were going to court, we didn't see him. But already we had information that he had died. Because wherever you go in this world, there will be a good person.
So when
we went to court, so these judges asked about him. They said, where is Yaya?
So your doctor
So one doctor was called.
So
This doctor, he was asked. He said Yaya died at the hospital. I said in my mind, you have just told a big lie. You are not even afraid of Allah. You are not afraid of anything. You decide to stand here and tell this big lie. And the man died in prison, and now you come to the court and said he died in the hospital. By the time when we were going to court, They didn't even allow us to see our family members. Because the first day when we arrived at the courthouse, what the judges told us, if I can remember properly, somebody called Judge Coker.
Presiding judge.
He was the presiding judge.
The
presiding judge was Judge Coker, but there were two other judges. There were three in number.
So the
judge, he told us, do you want a jury or do you want these three judges?
I
said to him, we don't want these three judges, we want a jury.
Okay.
He said, okay.
So I was
he wrote that. But at that time, he alone comes. We were taken back to mile 2. The following day, when we came back, he said to us, the government said they cannot pay a jury. They will take these three judges. But what they will do, your families will not take lawyers for you, and your friends will not acquire the service of all people, my friends, relatives who can take a lawyer for me, they refused and said there will be no lawyer for me. And your court case,
family members not
even a single person of your family members will attend the court cases. And no civilian will come who will attend the case. And no journalist will be allowed to attend the court.
So it will left
just like how they want to do it.
So you can
that's how they take us to court, except soldiers plus paramilitary.
So you mean the court, there was no audience, the public was not allowed?
No. Plus two white men were there. I don't know who gave them the information at that time. I saw these two white men came. I was in the box. We were in the box and they passed. They came and they entered the courtroom. The judge told the officers to take these white men out.
So would you say this was more or less trial in camera, trial in secret?
So he left a man calendar. Hani laftam fala la siguru ro kono sa kenu mo kana kalamda na family kana kalamda dunia kana kalamda ya ke wala nyamaro.
Yes, they were doing it in secret because whatever they wanted to do, maybe they could have even killed us in secret. So this is how everything was going on. They don't allow our family members or anybody to come and attend the case.
You told us that they did not even allow you to choose your own lawyers.
Yeah, ko ando mansilo fanandia la pour alfa kunni woni ali alfa sul loyal tombo.
Yo fam ban follow jami ba fana nyalla bari mo tata.
That's what they banned before they even told us that your relatives will attend it.
Did you in the trial challenge the admissibility of the confession you made at the NIA?
Iti dula nyinto fo inara na balang ilo songo nyindala bang ye songo menke NIA kiti dingira nyinto fo inara na ofendi ndi jela bang kafo ko ibalanta nunjel bari ye force ki NIA
ha kiti dula ro naste meno kono ko dolbe je bere ngini ngawola kiti dula nyindo ye balanda wala.
Yes, at the courthouse they asked me about certain things in our statement. We rejected, we resisted and told them that no. Because the lawyers that were given to us, Ronan Sok, and Hamate, plus Hamate.
So you lawyer follow but Janin don't follow the lawyer.
But before we have our lawyers,
Lawyer bukan kalon dole time.
there will be no lawyer who is brave enough to stand for us.
Because case silan lewaro ya jamala ko dariyan so ya na so jarul case silan dile.
So that
lawyer mbe fala momo lawyer mbe fala lawyer follow just I wakil tal drum.
they used to scare them.
Ko wakil tal bay mantra hangiring wo fang mantra defense no hani 5 minutes.
They just took the case, but they were always scared that anyone who stood for us, they would kill them. And so their representation was not even more than 5 minutes. Did you show the court the injuries that you sustained in the hands of the NIA?
Yebar mo men so do NIA bulo kono fo ya itande kiti dingira ni dole ba.
Na itande kiti la ma akisa bu ya lo men ko ne ko ene bar mo borana la beriale.
I showed it to them at the court, but they would not accept. They told me that I came with those injuries from Liberia, including your missing nipple.
Ani sunjo fana men fana kundura yo fana ko fana no bara
be focus on madam nda be ngawura ko ngawura je nyamen tay ngawura je wala na
All of it, just as I undressed here, the same way I undressed there. Do you believe you had a fair trial?
fo ila ra nyinna la ko ila kiti ni ngani tilimo la taraba
man kata wala fansa.
Not close to it at all. You believe you were convicted even before you set foot in that court?
munde de jigide nyinna la ko soron bro ye soron hani jannite o futalo kiti dingira nyindu.
Ya ke wala na.
Yes, that was how they did it.
And dol fon di biri ko ndemu ko be la ke ngalongo e gon soron ngal adu faro fo ngaw mi lay mako dol ko bin wenta rabalo may la ko ala tamal ni ngatiro.
Yes, and in fact, we even contemplated being killed. For me to be here today, we did not even believe I would get to this day. Thank you very much. Subsequently, you were serving death sentence. Did anything happen to your sentence later?
No soron drawing kunara na chala because very yani ben sentence la randene na mol ni ben ni ngala ndal follow ka diam so we can box on ko non 2 days ben fan defense ka so very en soron fana beje from somehow e ko nako ingar soron death sentence.
Yes, in fact, amongst our people, when they are asking questions, I was the one who used to respond. So for 2 days, I gave my defense until I was told that we were going to be in prison.
So,
while we were imprisoned, when they were sentencing us, what they told us was that it was a death sentence and that we were going to be killed
within 25 days.
And that was going to be within 25 days. If your appeal is not successful, we will kill you. But before we kill you,
Minister of Justice,
the Minister of Justice, at the time it was Hawasise Sabali.
So, Minister of Justice,
and whatever Minister of Justice is in office at that time would sign that document.
But you sentenced wrong.
But as soon as we were sentenced,
I think that resigned.
I think it was just for a couple of days and she resigned. She resigned her position. And then?
So
when we came to the prison, and we were serving our sentence,
25 days
before the 25 days,
so appeal
the appeal came out.
So
when the appeal came,
so
we went to the appeal.
So
but that appeal,
so
then they told us that came from Yaya Dabo judge's mouth. He came to ourselves and said to me, your appeal has come, but now you will not secure the services of a lawyer.
Your
relatives too will not secure the services of a lawyer for you.
lawyer dilal.
The government will give you a lawyer.
So ko di ko.
I said, really? And they said, yes. I told him, well, you just see how you want it and do it that way.
So
but before they could get a lawyer, we used to go to the court and come back, and it took a long time before they could secure a lawyer for us. Until one man called Matthew Mendy, he represented the four of us.
So Matthew Mendy,
he tried a lot.
Martin Mendy.
Yes.
But Abandale.
He is now late.
He's now there. Yeah. So wala nara lonya karanya back.
He defended us and he tried a lot.
Hani during the appeal waro.
Even the payment during the appeal. During the appeal, I showed him all my torture.
But
despite all of that, he started the case. But they would not accept it.
So
after the court can end, he said your sentence has been waived, now you don't have a sentence. The government said that they will not release you.
International Court of Justice.
That they will take your case to the International Court of Justice in London.
Privy Council.
Yes, exactly. That's the place. That was where they took our case. When they took our case there, we were there.
So 2000.
They sent documents.
So
what they sent, they showed them that we were acquitted and discharged. So for them to release us.
So by Wolf only lawyer din naje ka go do Dauda and Andrew Thomas. Wallo to be suffering kairo nyamba.
They provided us lawyers called Dauda and Andrew Thomas.
So by ko tembulala.
But they said that they will not release us.
But are you sure about this?
They told us already
that they will not release us. You said this to me, that the government said they will not release you, but they will take your case to another court.
Wasn't it the case that your sentence was reduced to life imprisonment instead of death?
No, what Martin Mendy said to us, he said that the life sentence cannot stand. Because what will make it stand, those charges were not brought here. That cannot stand because the charges have to come with evidence which can make it stand.
So while we
were in detention, we did not wear the uniform of the inmates. We were dressed in our civilian clothes.
So detention for 2004.
So we were in that detention up to 2004. When Charles Taylor's government was ousted, the people that were there, when they came,
so they
arrested Abdullah Sonko in Nyome Berending.
So
when they brought him,
so Abdullah treason charges.
Abdullah too was charged for treason. At the time that we did the attack,
Abdullah escaped.
Abdullah had escaped and returned back to Liberia. When Charles Taylor's government was no longer in power and he returned, that was when he was arrested in Nyome Berending.
So
and they brought him to Mile 2. When they brought him to Mile 2,
so Abeje,
he was there. He was going to court and coming back.
So
according to what he told me,
the
first lawyer that his family secured for him was Hussein Dabo.
So
when they secured that lawyer for him,
so
I think that went for a little while.
So onara kumanda anala family.
He called him and the family.
Ako onara faiho very atiaje court ni mkatanya imanyina charge la treason charge.
He said to them the way he saw the court proceeding, they did not charge him for treason.
Yekara mo ke banko kama iborra itara fo sanji jama imurana imanyina charge la treason jani arrest fun o charge so manya na tarle kun.
That if you committed a crime in your country and you run away and stayed abroad for so many years and you return, even if you are to charge, it cannot be for treason. Mr. Chair, maybe he must have been referring to statute of limitations, but we cannot guess. Proceed.
By the opposition.
Since he was an opposition member, and so he withdrew from the case. And then they secured the services of my party. So when they secured the services of my party then became his lawyer. So within that,
so my evidence against Abulai Sonko.
They did not have evidence against Abulai Sonko.
But mention law as a court no Abulai Sonko dabe farafin attack.
Outside that can prove, or someone from outside who can come and testify that Abulai Sonko was a part of the attackers of Farafeni.
So
then they came after us in prison.
DPP member Ajim, what time all of it.
The DPP at the time was Ajim.
So Narani Suleiman Sar Taji.
They came and took me and Suleiman Sar.
Yes, somebody GPP la officer.
They took us to the DPP's office.
GPP called
They told us that the DPP wants you to answer to him. So when we went there,
GPP ko.
The DPP said,
"Man, any evidence or outside puru kafu ko Abulai Sonko dabe farafin attack."
We don't have any evidence from outside which can say that Abulai Sonko was a part of the attack of Farafin. But they wanted to use us to implicate Abulai Sonko to be as being part of the attackers. But at that time, when the DPP said that, I said the DPP, and he said yes. I said, I am in prison. And you asked me to come and lock up someone again, because it's all about that. If you want that, you will listen me to go home. And then you will be calling me to come and testify as a witness. But if you do not release me to go home, and you want me to come and become a witness, that is going to be very difficult. So at that point, we told him that we will have discussions with our people. That was on a Friday. When we returned, we had a discussion with our colleagues that we left behind. They said to us, don't accept it. If they don't release you, don't accept it. So they took us back on the Monday because the DPP had said that we should return back on the Monday. When we returned on that Monday, he said that we should go to court. He was in his chamber. He said we go to court. I said to him, we are not going. Because we cannot do it. If you release us and we went home, we could come there. Otherwise, we will not do it. There was a bitter quarrel that in that situation.
Life imprisonment, alcohol.
Those of you that are in prison, you should have been killed. Those of you are on life in prison. I said no, I did not accept. I said no. Well, since our court proceedings ended, we were in prison, but there was not talk about life or death sentence. When we were returned back, they called Jaju. These people are talking about life, then give them the uniforms of the inmates. So another command so that was how he called us, took us to the reception. They took away our civilian clothes and gave us the uniforms of the inmates. That was when they told us that you are now spending your entire life here. But that was not said to us. Martin Mendel never said that to us. But you would admit, Mr. Witness, that you don't have any documents to show this.
Bari sedo do son nani malako kaitite bulu do mentan la commission la jang ko sabatindi.
No kayit tembulon si may irande commission bari kayitol men yan ko aborna biri wakeran biri o famol dun tolan.
There is no document, but when we were given those uniforms,
so we
were in prison there again. They did not relent. After some time,
courthouse.
The rotarator from the courthouse and requesting my presence and Esa Balde. When they said that, I knew directly that it was concerning the issue of Abla Sonko. So when they called us to the reception and took us back in the cell, we told our people. So me is our slogan ka hani alkalona ko mande kare dangula be men fole ye la mo bel jabiro o bolo to lobulun ko more odune da ko. I was with Esa, and on the way going I told him, even Alcalo, when he calls you, you have to go and answer, but whatever response you give to him, that has to be what comes from your own mouth. So mbege naran samba court, and so they took us to court. So bilan samba court pour seda agence Abdoulaye Sonko. They took us there to testify against Abdoulaye Sonko. That was when it was made clear to us that we are now spending our entire life in prison. Since we have refused to testify against Abdoulaye Sonko. That was when they told us that you are now been sentenced to life. Up till now, they did not relent. They took us to court to testify against Abdoulaye Sonko. Did you testify against him? There was testimony was given, but I shall tell you how it went about. So during Daragi, so when we got there, from GPP ni my father not a problem so we were going to court and coming back, and at the time the DPP and my party had a problem. So fall after my arrest until they nearly arrested my party. So one day they brought soldiers there to arrest my lawyers came there, both male and female. The place was full. They all sat down there. So they spoke to them. But the judge that was there, that was a carpenter judge. He locked Baba. What do you mean by carpenter judge? That judge was a carpenter here in the Gambia. He knows our entire end, where we come from. So in other words, he was the one they made a judge. This is Paul. Justice Paul. Because at the phone he was a carpenter here. He told me that from his own mouth. So he entered in the box. I was the first witness on the box. So and they were questioning me if I knew Abdoulaye Sonko. I was in the witness box and Abdoulaye Sonko was in the other box. 3 days. 3 days? Where I was with them. If I go there in the morning and I stand in the box almost 1 o'clock until almost 1 o'clock. So they kept asking me questions. They could not get anything from me. Because there were some questions that they asked me. Some of them were in my statement. They have already sentenced me. So when they asked me, I told them that I will not answer because I am not here for any court case. They asked me, do you know this man? I told them I don't know him. They said to me, but you are with him in mile 2. I told them mile 2 is wide, and he is not in the same place with me. They told me that you come together with him in the same vehicle. I told them I never saw him there.
So GPP.
So the DPP,
so but at
that time journalists were allowed in. Sometimes when I come out of the
journalists or any family members or any
the journalists, family members, and ordinary Gambians will come and dash us someone. Let me ask you this question. During your own trial, the times you were going to court, were you at any time tortured by prison officers?
What
usually happened when we are going to court? Some prison officers and some soldiers were there.
So we
used to lie on our bellies on the truck, and our hands were cuffed behind us, and we lied on our bellies, and that was how we lay down before we will get to the court and alive. My friend, that was usually a problem.
So
and when we disembark,
so we can do correct.
You hear the chains clinging all the way.
So no and
we are always in those chains in the box. And when we are coming to, so the vehicles were always parked under the sun. So if you climb that truck and you are made to lie on your belly on that truck, if your heart is always about to break because of the heat from the iron. That was the manner in which they broke. How about any beatings by prison officers?
There
was one man they call Manga. His hand is having a problem. There was another one called Manga. He's a fat guy.
So
they kept beating us up. Just as Sefla and his people. And Jai himself and his crew.
So
they kept beating us. They were other soldiers like Buba Mendi. There was one other called Pamudu Khan. He was also there.
Soldiers on the duty at the time.
The soldiers that were on duty at the time. And you get to know them, know the soldiers who usually escort. Do you know a person called Jagguide? Yes, I know Jagguide. What can you tell us about him? He was there, even though he did not torture anyone, but when they are beating people, he never asked them to stop. Those who are beating, would they be under Jagguide's authority? Yes, they were under his authority. In fact, lastly, the woman was arrested, and the day that he was brought to the prison. God is great. The day that they were bringing him in, and they were putting handcuffs in his hands, I was standing there. I thanked the Almighty. I said to him, even if this one should spend just one day here in prison, and he's released,
Alhamdulillah.
Praise be to God. You were telling us when Jobate came to prison, and they came to talk to you. What happened?
ita raka diamuye muneketa
jobare biri asamana ndebe selo ngando
When they brought Jobate to the cell where I was,
number 4 se waro mbonna number 1 yasamana number 4
at the time I was taken from number 1 to number 4.
ndela selo vita
I cleaned his
ndela
cell.
welcome selo vita everything ka hakilo tangondero
I welcomed him and I cleaned his cell for him.
nga mengera ketal
I told him what has happened has happened.
bari si yamfano lo banyino ndanyina
We can forgive, but as for forgiving, as for remembering, forgetting, we will not forget.
dunia dawda yini kalamba satalla
And wherever in the world that I am asked about this, I
wana
can
mo
say it.
jobare damare fode bari samana nje sinyafula
Not Jobate alone. Fodebare was brought there twice.
wo atata la fola mo abuko pare pour na nyoyi
In fact, for him, in the end, he was not always comfortable meeting with me.
animen be sel ke ngamo ke nga kumandina
And I sent one of them with whom he was in the same cell, and I told him to ask him to come.
so granada
And when he came,
jawol
you thought I was an enemy of the state.
so no fanan na ko kara wala
So this was what happened between me and him. If all those people you mentioned,
ninga yatra yo mol men be tofo
Baba Dindin Jobate,
baba dinni jobate hari sambu odebari salmina drame
Joe
Mendi
those are the ones I can remember off the top of my head.
ata wol be sonta kana janka sonyinda kutonya tonya yetajire yale
Would you be willing to forgive them and to reconcile with them?
way be sonnal pour ka yamfe bang anwini murunyo kamba be ke nganya kilinta lake kilim mo kilimol
wallahi kalta alala ko
I swore to God that
ni na rajo ya accept
if they come here and accepted,
yam fate
I forgive them.
because ale kiti te ni do tem hani salmina fa yasamana kaso kono
Because God has passed judgment between me and them. Even Salmina himself was brought to the cell, to the jail.
o damma kayanda
That alone is enough.
alhamdulillah
Praise be to God.
bari ikondem bangu din jawol
Since you said I was an enemy of the state,
manande samba kaso kono kudo
you have not taken me to the state, to the cell for
waya ko ikudeta ko
until except for a coup d'etat.
bayi ne de samba kaso kono kudo la mayalongo woninde taman kili
But they took me to this jail for something which is not the same with mine.
alhamdulillah rabbil alamin da
Praise to God.
no war ibakala waro ne mapa ila ko be ala na rakiriyete yentrayi
When we were doing it, you did not believe, and God passed judgment, and that they are now here with me.
wallahi ndo yam falale
To God, I will forgive.
bari yenyin ngala dauda fo jannim be fala ma sarlat
But wherever they ask me about this, until the day that I die, I will always narrate it. You told us about your father having been brought to the NIA.
yenyin fonye ko ifama la kura ko ya nati NIA
You are on the oath.
le kalo le koto
Was he tortured?
ko ya male ba ya libale ba
fama de isa fo kuma kan jaw jamal fa
Well, as for my father, all I can say is that he was told very harsh words.
nyata le mo ibento chola wato may kuma kan jawol fa
In my presence, while I was being tortured, they told him so many horrible things. After that,
so inarande bondi
they took me away,
ando ate ay tele gantanke yele
and he spent a couple of days there.
so kono ya male
So within that, he was touched.
maso na folanya de bari anara chae comme ça kaka dimosoro ajan
He did not tell me, but he said he used to have pain behind his back, the back of his head.
akanyamura
So your belief is that he was tortured?
amandran wonya
I believe that he was tortured because my father wasn't like that before.
sansa mfama ate fen wo time asi fen esbe ba sa ate fen explain no la moy
At this point in time, my father cannot explain anything to
fen
anyone.
fo no la moy
He cannot tell anybody anything.
ate fen fo no la moy
Cannot tell anybody anything as to what happened to him.
interesa saro no ani brina ra are suo kono ay menu traye tumando baro dolbe je men yal ko ma trading yare o time o e sifam fo no
I am the only one who can explain what happened, or those who witnessed back home when he was arrested and they were not that young. They may be the only people who can talk about what happened to him. You were subsequently released.
nyala ba woni nara nebula
Why?
mune sababu dawla
ndo kabo kaso kono ba
I mean from prison. Yes.
ko kasoro nara nebula kasoro
ina nambula kaso kono birin dunda ye because meda kaso kono no
Yes, they eventually released me, but I had spent a long time in prison.
Dolbe kaso ko no ya jame si mol men arrest men si men su stay long kaso ko no men sin policy mamro obeye.
I don't think that there has been any set of prisoners during Jame's time who have spent a longer time in jail than us.
Ngamo jama letra kaso mo jama ba len traje yori le ala time all. So animal men are going to samana dolbe samana bite sambala karefa like nganyba kan
ya je mile to prison
nya je mile to free life on
direct
nya ke solo takam
nya ke solo rakan da man kanye ko ko ri.
How do you know that that was Kanyiba?
ya lo nyaadi le wala Kanyiba kan
na yinin kale italam tumara kon Kanyiba kanye boramindo jara jason.
I asked him, who are you? And he said, I am Kanyiba Kanyi. Where are you from? And he said, I am from Jara
Jason.
So
waron don't miss board because waron ka domoro supply le ku jamal be janga melon prison atambira siakun.
At that time I was the mess boy. I was the one supplying food.
Sanji tanin kono do kardanda.
I was the one supplying.
Sanji tanin kono do karworo la maybe.
I was supplying food. So I
2014.
I knew many things about the prison. I was there for 19 years.
Few months.
So we were told that the prisoners were fed with a carrion, that is rotten meat of a dead cow that was brought to the prison. Is that true?
Kasolankol membe kasoto ike balondi ni domorola mesutu suwo ni so mealanko ni siji farimala
ndefolo sere amanga nyamola fanyere mfamola sere.
I witnessed that. It's not that someone told me about it. Okay, who is responsible for bringing that carrion, that dead cow, rotten cow to the prison?
Jamal be marlim wala kaw ni siji farimona de kasoto je
David Colley. We received information that after that food was served, several people died in the prison after consuming it.
Na kibaro soto ko bire yonizi jifari munati kasubumoto je ya kanta ya busuje ya di kasolankola mo jamal soto ndaje mene yalonko ifata je andum ya man sababu fenna na manke subu tollingote
mo soto je men pare bo jama be je minate tola baddo be je me ango ka fa 6 million.
Yes, many people died there, but I cannot remember their names. But there was one person called 6 million.
6 million
when they brought that dead cow there. So the good part of it, they took it to their homes. At that time,
inarambula kaso kono so sai kaje nka dumla jama do wala na mo jama be men yalon ko ye samonanje ya jama time mo jama lon.
I was a mess boy and I was a little bit tired. And so David Colley said to me, well, there is the remaining part of the meat. Whosoever can eat it, let them eat it, otherwise let it be. So because of being that mess boy, I was able to know many people there. Those that came to prison at the time, I got to know a lot of them.
So 6 million
that 6 million was a madman.
So people
did not eat lunch, they did not eat dinner because that meat was served for both lunch and dinner. Some people were there, they were mad, and you could not refuse or deny them to eat. But people like us, apart from the breakfast, we did not have lunch. And many other people of that kind were there.
Because in
fact, the reason why that incident became so well known was as a result of Musa Suso's problem. He had a problem with David.
Because
they came inside the prisons to conduct a search. They said that they found a SIM card.
So drugs jamme kundan ko be wara bandale sande na be non Senegal exile la musa
At that time,
Benedict
they took him to the drug squad. At the time, Benedict Jammeh was the one there.
So,
and we were in Senegal with him in exile.
Buri musa so samba yo tamu musa na rani sikiri rol be ta ko mun ga ay bu ko fon safara bu ko fulata ko mun ka kaso ko no evra be sa bu ko so waro la na rani ni sifure ko je.
So it was Musa Suso who wrote everything about what is happening in the prison, including this dead cow. And
bari o tamu dolta bonni no bari ka funyo sa challa jang na falmo jang ata findla bunda ba lafta men namba wala talale
because that time we couldn't get that information out, because they usually told us that we can do anything to you here and you will not be able to take it out of this place.
So you were released after 19 years and some months on the basis of a presidential pardon.
Yebula sanji tumala men na ye sanji tang anin kononto kari woro yala inarne bula nunkankang wala president wa kama mindi purka yamfa moli ibula taw molle kono yamfa moli ni
mula taw yamfa molle ko.
Yes, we were part of the pardon.
Was it 2014 or 2015?
2014 number of 2015.
Amara 2014 nanda numanyina.
I think it was 2014 if I have not forgotten.
What did you do after you were released?
Yemune ke biri ibula renkola
biri embula nkoto manara no manu.
When I was released, my older brother came to collect me.
Ay sambara suko.
He took me to his house.
Gafa Morjani.
It's called Modujang.
Anindoma Alaji.
And my younger brother Alaji.
Anin nadoma koton Seni.
And one other younger brother of mine called
Seni Kanteh.
Seni Kanteh.
Anindo kafa Balandi.
There's one also called Balandung.
These were
the people who came to collect me and took me home.
So did you remain in Gambia or did you go somewhere else?
Gambia jane bang fo ita blaso lalwa itara damendo bang
nonde manna me baka jambere yambula ndar exile.
I did not stay here long. After I was released, I went into exile.
Ko tamu namol ningal nintinganta jambi.
Because at that time, if I spend the day in one place,
so samo the
next day my family will take me to another place to spend the day.
Defa mala purka banko wala bang fama ko nim fara juna ro etle mfa banko wala da dunya dawda yam faten.
And this is how I was alternating the places that I stayed in. I did not initially want to leave the country, but my father said to me, if you stay here, I will not forgive you, and if you went away, wherever you may be in this world, you have my blessings.
The NIA told you during your torture sessions that you would not function again as a man.
NIA liyenyim foye ko wato men be bute gamba de be tajire ya kan ko be kala molde me ya lon ko ite tamala ko tanke ilake ya.
Yes.
So what happened in there?
Muna keta ko ni nyala bangoni.
After ko abirindara Senegal no.
After that, when I went to Senegal,
so mfama nara muso do nyini.
My father brought a wife for me.
So ya samana nyina Senegal.
And they brought her to me in Senegal.
Her
name is Mariama Kuyate.
So
she was young.
So
and when they brought her,
so
and gave her to me,
so
I could not perform.
So
despite how hard I tried, I tried all means, going to Marabouche, taking the tablets, nothing worked. I could not function at the time.
So
and she is my relative. Because she is related to me from my uncle's side and also on the grandparents' side.
So
and for that reason, we were in that situation until there was a new government in place. When this new government took over, when I returned,
so family because
of the family did not want a divorce,
so another family
I then called the family,
a farmer,
her father, old Umar Kuyate. I said to him, please forgive me. Let us forgive one another. She's young. She has done nothing wrong to me. I am the old one who is unable to do something for her. So before I will waste our time, let her look for a man who will marry her. So you see that within that, I will continue trying to take medication. If God gives me good health anytime, I can then look for a wife. So I was in that situation, staying in with one of my friends in Brikama, called Sanadahaba. He's the director at disaster management. So he asked me to stay in his house because he liked me. So but after that, I said to him, well, now I want to transfer to Babylon. If I have a place where to stay, I will go to Babylon. So then they informed me that there was a place where I could live in. My friend Mustafa Jadama, he is here seated. So he called me and then said to me that there is a house here. If you liked it, you can come and stay there. Then I said to Salah, please allow me, let me go and stay there. So I was in that situation. Then I allowed Mariam to free her, but before I allowed her to go, I told Mustafa and his wife, Bindu, sister that came along with. That's my sister. I told her, I explained my condition to them. I did not hide anything from them. I told them everything. They told me, well, there is a woman here, but she's well off. But if you want her, but she was once married, but she is divorced. So, but if you liked her, she's here, she's a good neighbor. If you like, we can go into those, make the arrangements. Where they told me that, directly I accepted. I said I like her. They told me, someone that you have not seen and already you like her. I told them that you will not put me in a place where which is not good. That Mustafa Jadama and Bintu Kujabi. So they are my host in Babylon. Very good people of mine.
You continue to take treatment, right?
Yes, I was taking treatment at the time. So within that, I married this woman. But when I was marrying her, many members of my family were worried. They were worried. Because in prison, many people people that they brought to the jail that I was assisting, because no one prays to find anyone in prison, but within those people, when I was released, those people that I acquainted with, they told me, look for a wife. When you find one, tell us and we will assist you. I said, fine. People like O.J. Jallo, people like Khalifa Sallah, people like Amadou Ba, Hermendi, Masakamara,
Umar
Fall.
Which Umar Fall?
Umar Fall. Kafana Umar Fall.
Mbake.
Ha.
They call him Umar Fall, Mbake, yes.
So
I acquainted myself with all of them in prison.
So and
there's one short man, my friend, London Sane.
So
they stood and on that issue for me.
So birin nara muso nyinge.
So when I found this woman,
so Mustafa nara kuotama.
Mustafa did the facilitation.
So nara sila nyaron ko ulini.
And then they chose a head of delegation.
So purkara ular.
To go to the place.
Fakeba Kamara.
Fakeba Sise.
So wala ko betaman.
And he facilitated the whole process.
Na ni member na join na rasida nde Mustafa. Anim bintu kujal.
So what
any information.
Nani kumaka member na nje.
Whatever information he brings from that place.
Saho Mustafa ay anim bintu.
He will tell Mustafa and Bintu.
In the end, you got married.
Nara Ibria Kamada Naro, Nara from Kafunole, so Nime, so that is in Kumandi, Nara, so for Nara Musoni Furu.
Yes, when they gave me the approval, I told my colleagues that whatever anyone has, let them bring it together, and eventually I married her.
And with the help of God, you are now able to get a child.
Sayang Allah de maro kang harjeta de dingo.
Amusoni mfamo bejane kafa Ramucham.
Yes, the woman, the wife is called Ramucham with the child.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I have no further questions.
Marabaka sedo kiaman
just to remind, I have some exhibits to put in.
Actually, I wanted the child to say hello to the commission. And at some point, we will get to that. But I heard the council. Thank you. Have
the photograph, side view photograph of the witness showing injury scars on his arms should be exhibit 178, and the photograph showing bones below his belly button and on his stomach, that should be 178A. And the photograph showing injuries to or scars to the left nipple should be 178B, and the photograph showing the chest of the witness with one nipple missing and one nipple present should be 178C. There is also a more detailed photograph of the right arm of the witness also showing scars. That should be exhibit 178D. With your permission, Mr. Chair.
request granted, Council. Thank you very much, Council, and thank you, Mr. Balo Kanteh.
Kiamango in Marabaka Council, in Marabaka, Mr. Balo Kanteh, ila said and roto.
We are again truly sorry that you had to endure such horrific torture in the hands of NIA agents.
Waninga bimba fale masa kul la mella te kang ambi masoto mobulu fo yasoto menubulu wala munna banko tanko bunda multi.
I have just 2 points to raise with you, if you don't mind.
Ni ku fanna saba wala fulal be mulijang dal flan ni mentala ni ngatra abisono le mbasono le to.
When your nipple was cut and you were bleeding, was there anybody around to give you first aid, stop the bleeding and some treatment?
Being yera in marasungo nyunkundu fo wato mena yero be findika fo motar tay barabaro la jela bang ketare de ma kang de maro la memu jaralo la fonno fala fanna folo nyinti bang
akundrun kola bang fo.
Was it after it was cut or?
Yes.
Ide ka doctor ul sama nanjelo time puruka ma ko time keso man simoro fa yo jara ko keso mam bonde fo 2014 keso ni ngafinde ni simoro.
Yes, they usually brought their doctors to assist me because at the time too I had the injury from the gunshot and that bullet remained in my thigh until 2014 before I was able to remove it.
I'm referring to the cutting of the nipple, or the bleeding coming from that at that moment.
I did not I had no assistance at that time. There was no help at all.
How long did the bleeding go?
No time What are the for Malao Namala Fanokata Onyama?
I led
I didn't see the Sa Janiel of stop, but I comes out a demo stop after by Buru.
It took a few days before the bleeding stopped through the help of God. It's not that I got any medical assistance which stopped the bleeding.
This one is a general question, and I'm not asking you or giving you a high school or university question of compare and contrast a particular point.
High school or university.
Your experience in Liberia and in the Gambia,
Liberia and in Gambia,
you were involved in same purpose, but different consequences arose.
Bari ida betarli ida yeda bula ku kilingol do mealon ko hamen ku kilingol bari ko nyin ko men beje ifarata le.
You were in Liberia with Charles Taylor attempting to change the government there.
Ibenu Liberia in Charles Taylor alba katakane no puru kamansa kunda falling.
You said you had what amounted to almost a royal treatment.
Ye maraje ko nyala mealon ko ikamta mansa.
You had 18 female bodyguards around you.
Ko musutang aning seyo lel soro mealon ko wala ke kanta.
You felt comfortable there very much.
And nuol be barabaro la katara ifanso ke fanso do bakele.
And you came to the Gambia.
Ina da Gambia bango bang.
Same purpose.
O hamen ku kilo
involved with some people to change the government.
Yeah,
you endured horrific torture, as I mentioned earlier. As a young African and a Gambian, was it worth it if you compare the two?
I said no human being is perfect. I went to hustle.
So nada bulan ko kon mandram fambulo ko sa hisitram fambulo isi fambon no jenyam.
Then I found myself in this situation, and I was not in control of the situation, because if you are in control of the situation, you can get yourself out of it. If I could have got out of this situation since in Libya, then I wouldn't have gotten to Liberia in the first place. Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. If you have any questions.
Silang Commissioner lima ta momo ni nkarosoro ya itandi.
Mamsi.
Commissioner Imam Sile binengi ni nkalab sedo.
Kotombalo jerejef. Thank you, Kotombalo. We greet you and also thank you for the hardships. I have two questions to ask you. The the 1,500 individuals that you are leading, who was paying them and who was also feeding them? And the experience and the position that you had there when you were a leader, in what condition did you accept that being there? Were they paying you, or were you there just because of your wish? Second question, Kugo Sambasanyo.
Well, bu leen évalué fii da ngeen waxtaanoon ak moom tey wala moom def leen yéen a toppoon seen bëgg-bëgg rek.
The assignment is sent you here for. Was he paying you, or were you just doing that out of your own pleasure?
When
we got you into this difficulty?
And
what did you plan for yourself while you were there that you will bring back to the Gambia? These are the questions.
Sorry. What I say is a grooming or the Martin.
Of Suraka or
qualify.
We were Gito in Fufu.
I could meet them in Yatunje.
1,500 Nibukaman and Ayala telephone.
Or more really kill more came in Yan, go tell the Yatun.
1,500 individuals that you led.
And more than Bungal Akan Molen don't fight.
Malaki Balundi and Malafanke Joe.
Who was feeding them and who was also paying them. You have asked a very important question. Thank you, Imam. At the time that I was in Liberia, the people that I led or the people that other people led, all of them, there was no payment for any one of them. It was not like there was payment for anyone at the end of each month. But from time to time, because there was no permanent government in place, but however it was, since they are blessed,
so la jamabe je wolbendola control area
and many areas were under our control.
Ato jom facility
and these facilities,
mol bukan etaje
nobody came to take them away.
Namange outside country mol comme ça ani businessman odol
except businessmen from other countries.
Yo gro baton ka sabar bayr labira bangu bare labira port lu lebe.
Liberia is a blessed country. They have 5 ports.
So so
the things that come in, some things like iron ore, and therefore once in a while Charles Taylor will call a group and give them money. Since they are mostly Christians, for instance, the feast that is about to come in this month, he will not discriminate to say whether this one is Christian or Muslim. He will just disburse monies to everyone. And when the Tawaski or Korite comes around, those of us who are from the Gambia, he will also remove a token and give it to us, because he knew that we were Muslims. So that was the only thing. There was no permanent pay.
Narilla ci bi moy ku ko sama sañam da ngeen waxtaan ak mom fay wala mom def leen pouson rek ngeen ñew dugg ci jafé jafé
ko min kar flanjaw mende wala min ko ku ko samba sañam fo al nakata jolla ban fo ayal tal do ngal ñori jandron pour aller na jangale na boy kawnki
nam kacha jola nam ka comme ça c'est bon babul do time oro.
The second question is, did you The second question is, did you arrange any payment plan with Kuko Samba Sanyang, or did he just push you to come here and get involved in this activity of yours? There was no payment arrangement between him and us that he will pay us. It was just through force.
Thank you, Commissioner Kanteh. Have the floor.
Commissioner Kanteh, I've been in Kala. Zero.
Assalamu alaikum, Balo.
Wa alaikum salam.
I express my sadness for the hardships that you have encountered. Our very own people who were expected to treat you based on the law and the rules and regulations failed to do so. I am touched by one of the things you said in your testimony. That is the bringing of Kanyiba Kanyi into mile 2. I will want to ask a few questions on that issue, and I really want you to assist me. I want you to tell me, if I told you no, the day that he was brought in there, what day is it and what time is it? I'd like you to tell me. Thank you, Commissioner. That question is pleasing to me. Because mile 2 is a place whereby if someone is brought there and then taken out to be killed, there are many people that I know. Many. Kanyiba Kanyi, when he was brought in,
number 5.
they took him to number 5.
So number 0,
There,
mess boy.
I was a mess boy.
So Ndaraje,
I went there.
When I
went there, I supplied him food personally. It was not like somebody to be food from me. I gave it him personally. And I said to him, relative, where are you from? He told me I'm from Jara Jasong. He told me where he stayed, but I forgot.
So
I told him, really? And he said yes. I told him, well, I am also a Jaranka. It's only now that I have forgotten the name of the wife, but he had told me his wife's name. I told him, to see, the fact that we are here, we also make these inquiries. If you are living with a dictator, we are always interested in making inquiries to know whosoever is brought here as a detainee, so that we know where you are from, the time that you are brought here, and the time that you are taken out, because there is no specific time which they may take you away. They can bring you just immediately, and in a few minutes time you will be whisked away. And they will make you disappear just like that. But the day that he came there, truly we used to have use other means and write it in small letters on the walls. But at that time, if you were caught with a pen or if they saw any writings or a paper, if they beat you, you will not narrate that to anyone.
So if
I told it was then, I could say, but for now I have forgotten the day. But the day that he was taken away, I have not forgotten that.
2006 election day, voting became waterman.
I may remember that, forget the day, but in 2006, the very day that the elections were taking place, the time that people were voting, the time when the voting was taking place, you know, at that time people were concentrated on that. That was when they took him away.
So
they put a plastic bag over his head.
So
that was the last time we saw him, and we had the belief that that was the very day that they killed him.
Okay.
And other people.
How
many days did he spend there with them before they took him away to kill him?
Gonka nyubala naje askema e follow blador mammen kala muta bayro tumando baro dol beje be aresle sama blador na yang kamantambe na itilisa bo fongosi.
It could be he was arrested and detained in some other place, because sometimes they did that before they brought him to Mile 2, but it cannot be more than 3 days.
Tumudo baro mini ya samba nanka register J.
Maybe those who brought him in to have him registered, you may not be in a position to know them, since the registration is usually done at the gate.
But Bolibi to phone attendant Nanyola for security wing ya hand over prison warden on.
But there were some officers who usually will come with him until at the security wing, where they will then hand him over to the prison officers.
Niwo imoke fanania hand over ma reception to or prison warden on lena kana selo yele ka dundi.
If that is not also the case, and even if they had handed him over at the reception, those prison officers at the reception would normally be the ones to bring him all the way to his cell.
Malong fo ila fahamro futatale prison warden jumane asamananka daele kadundi seloko.
I don't know whether you are in a position to know which particular prison warden brought him from the reception to open the cell and put him inside there.
Butong nyinata wala was kanyo falen dolbeje ka juti ke somanda oleji 4 o'clock dole sele 4 o'clock oleji 10 o'clock numbe sele 10 o'clock wol kataje fofano yake.
I have forgotten that, because they used to change shifts. Some will close work at 4 and others will mount and close at 10 o'clock. Those who mount at 10 o'clock will only close the following morning.
So msafon ganyuma puru kata kafin ninde hani biri ade samonando biri adunde pour kafin ninde kasam barulado yo kraw lonkel biri afinde bodas de biri tata ro abanda. I can say
that since he was I can say that he was not brought out because the only time that I can say with certainty that he was brought out was the very day of the elections when they took him away. But it could be that they used to bring him out and when they were bringing him back inside, I would normally not be there.
Ime yitende wala mwindete mwankala mutadron sinya kilini ya samanan duma mantambi tilifula sabala ya bondi abenda karte failu mrefe wala mfana ya fa atola jerodo.
What you believe is that sorry, can you repeat the question again?
Ntambi mfo wala mwindete ko ato sinya kilini dornali aje ya samana.
What I'm saying is, as far as you were concerned, it was only one time you saw him being brought in.
And you come on here, I tell you saba CJ, what almost half of telephone and until saba malemu. I would run nekeje.
And you said that you don't think that he stayed there for long. It's between 2 and 3 days.
Yes.
And you could cut the file lumolemu ya mute na rambuso black mola ka samba.
And you said it was the day of the election.
Black mola ya samba.
You said it was the day of the election.
Mola concentrate over
You said it was the day of the elections that they put a plastic bag over his head and took him out and tell him. Was it early morning just as the sun was rising in the afternoon or in the night? And the witness said it's night time. If Abulai Songo were here, if he were here, but he's late. He could be succumbed to the torture and all these hardships. But if you were here, you would have corroborated my statement. Those who put this plastic bag over his head and took him away.
Kongo jele ngasu tela bulata mol konole bring menu be bantala mile to waram prison police or menu be je Warani when the prison police jumale daele ka kanye badila pure mbuso bula kumol.
I don't know if you study your mind and reflect back on the incident. You can remember anybody who was in that material moment when this plastic bag was put over his head, or which prison warden was the one that opened the cell door for him to get in. You know, the time that they used to come to pick people up, that time used to find us inside. So if it finds me inside, those of you who are together, or sometimes your cells are close to the other cell door. So in that situation, when these junglers are coming, they used to wear masks, so to know exactly which individual. Except you were among them, and that time we were virtually strangers, we did not know much about Gambia.
Exactly, exactly.
And since we were inside, we could not know exactly which officer was there who actually opened the cell door.
The night
of the elections,
exactly inata daele mulmang mo soto no sign but wato simako enol wati jumale exactly inata ka bondi ka sam.
You may not be able to say exactly what time it was.
Mole boarding for parera so carte conto ve kering kabo round 10 kara 11 o ma famara
ari
ba do carte conto ve kering
the elections were already done and
wado me carte conto ve kering so time lay naraka man
it was
kata talantan ninkile
ma ho naraka ba mol be listing kan
and 11
wala tondira
when the votes
result kana waro man
we have been counted
no waro result because o time monro tambulde
and the results were been announced
monro tambul ba ni o rewul ena ni e furando rebe kala furaw.
At the time I did not have a watch, because if they caught you with a watch and took you to a library, you would become a corpse.
So
that is why I am telling you to estimate the time. From 10 to 12. Up to 1.
So, alhamdulillah, barakabad.
Thank you.
Commissioner Samba followed by Commissioner Carr.
Commissioner Samba wala fanan kan yin ninka.
Balo inimbara.
Thank you, Balo.
Barka.
Nafte ninka la ninkar dantanela.
I want to ask you a few questions.
Ninkari follow wala minti kon nafte ninkari ko kari woro.
First question is, you said 6 months.
Alimekum.
You did not take bath.
Fo kari woro kono.
Within that 6 months,
did
they ever allow you to observe your prayer times?
Yeah.
Someone, they found me reciting the Holy Quran. I was reading the Quran. Someone borrowed the book to me called Last Kobel Bojang. He is from Brikama.
So
he borrowed me the Al-Quran and I was reciting it. In the morning, they came. When they came, they opened the door. They slapped me. They told me, you that is supposed to be killed, and here you are reading the Quran. So for us to pray, your hands were and your feet were shackled, so you just put your hands on the ground, and in whatever manner you pray, God will accept it. And when they were taking that Al-Quran from me, Sefla was the one who led a team to come to me.
So
when he came, he it caused a very serious insult. Since we are Mandinkas, he said, you Mandinkas, and he caused my mother that you are the ones who want to overthrow our government.
So
So they are going to kill you people.
So
So that was how they took the Al-Quran away from me. And so I stood at the door, at the cell door. I told them, this Al-Quran that you are taking away, on the day of judgment, what's that? Before we cross Sarat,
the Al-Quran
will pass judgment between us.
So
they told me that is what you are saying, and I told them yes. They came back and opened the door.
So
So Sefla,
the
other manka who had a faulty hand called the manga ploga, and the other fat manka, they came inside and they beat me up. I told them, well, if it is on the because of the Quran that you are beating me up, that I am going to repeat that, saying that until the day of judgment, that the Quran will be a witness between me and you people. Much more prayers.
Because even late Aliba
was beaten until he lost consciousness. Secondly, I think if I heard well,
20 liters bidon
you said they will cut the 20-liter gallon in the middle. And that was where you eased yourselves.
Yes.
Yes.
So
there was no cover, nothing on it. No cover, nothing. It was just there beside us in the cell. The third one, you said while you were in Libya, you had a wife there.
No, Liberia.
Yes, I had a wife in Liberia. Did you have a child with her? Yes, we had a child. Is that child here with you or there? That child is in Liberia because when I was leaving Liberia, she was just trying to work. Her name is Kanteh.
The chamber parts in the Robben Island had covers.
Commissioner
Thank you, Chairman. Sorry, Mr. Kanteh, for what you went through. My first question is, you told this commission that your father was brought in and you were tortured in his presence. I want to know if your other family members were victimized.
Lafta kamenyini nga wala mindiko ya fo la sadaro kono ko ye fama fana itata no kana ya nati andung ya yelipa anyala lafta kamelno wala mindiko fo da pote fama la family la karola ila dimbal la karola fo mo ko ndo so ndala bangi bulola da men kamba yemen nati ba
no sister nyomo jame yo fona sambana o fo mera je baka mere bulu baka.
Yes, my sister Nyomo Jame was there and she spent a long time there with them.
Thank you. The second is, what do you do for a living now?
Saying is inumbara ila saying thing ila balore imuna mila balore ka mundo ko muna ka balu menna
de jama mantra do ko la de
mostly I'm not working
be nga afro la
I do selling.
I try
get animals like sheep.
So when I
get sheep, I fatten them and I resell them.
But bring coronavirus ko na rin.
But since the advent of the coronavirus,
So Balo ko na rin kole ante famulani dimbal be jaral.
sustenance became difficult for me and the family, since my family is in Jara.
So another difficult mbulu so mana continue no ala da.
It became difficult for me and I couldn't continue.
So sa ngaran na kafunyo malele atari.
So now I go to my friends,
Those that
I knew while in prison, people like O.J. Jallo,
so ani sanada haba nyolo wasival
people like Sanad Lahaba and others,
ani mo ko tan tan kara wasanyolo kara permen ni
and other individuals like Wasa and Permen.
ni karo farade ni me soro so e ma.
So I used to go to them, and at the end of each month, whatever anyone lays his hands on, they dash me.
But right now fandambul.
But right now, I have nothing that I'm engaged in.
Thank you. My third question is, as Council has mentioned before this commission, some people may have died in the Farafenya attacks.
Nanyininkarol sabanyo mendo wala mintiko kome Council ya fanyabeng la nyininkarol ninjabrol micho nyinkono inatema ko model soton dalmu meno fata Farafenya boyin kan nyinton.
Would you want to apologize to their families?
Bela fla puru kabolo seyo ke wala ila family la ba ila dimba la ba.
Ayalo adama de momentima.
No human being is perfect.
The
reason why I said no human being is perfect, because we did not know that someone died there. But the information that you are now giving me here, in that, I used to hear such information, such news from people. They used to tell us. So we appeal because it was because of our action, our own free will, our coming into Farafenya. That was the reason why that happened. We appeal to their families. We did not intend to come here to put Gambians to make Gambians suffer, because if that was our intention, we would have captured the Ajami in one of his meetings and disappeared.
So that
was the reason why I usually came to his meeting places to try to find out means through which someone may be able to carry out such plans. But sometimes when that's why we did this thing, because we did not have any other means. Because if we had succeeded at that time, the brutal killings and the disappearances, perhaps they might have not happened. Because God is the one who puts things the way they're supposed to be. So I appeal for forgiveness from them, so that they can forgive me. This is what I have to say.
My final question is on the use of, since you've gone through a lot from your training in Libya to your participation in Liberia, and even what happened here in the Gambia. What would be your advice, especially to young ones, on issues of violence, issues of peace, and using unconstitutional means to overthrow government?
Silang muna bekeletela yamaro din dindingol do mena yalongo be dumala mawde wulikan na muna bekeletela yamaro to ko lembe ke sujiring Cairo fitinola aning Cairo aning bunya roke wala maralola
question over back.
That is a good question.
Cairo manyozoro.
There is nothing like peace.
So mbeamaro kala menna.
So my advice is this: there is a time for everything.
So but
that era has passed. We are into another era. for people to change their minds. Forget about those kind of things and not do them again. By the help of God. I advise everyone. I will not pray that what I got into, that someone else will get into it until the end of the world.
If there are no further questions from the commissioners, Commissioner Bojang, Manima, you have the floor.
Manima Bojang na fanala kenyi ninkala jana.
Balo Kanteh. Lafte ninkala kuma kindola minketa kukoe la karola.
I want to ask you on the issue of Kukoe.
Every alla nyin coup d'etat baita fo akola bidalunda nyin problem kuko ay ku kalam tajere bang abedami.
Since your failed coup attempt, until all these hardships that you went through, did Kukoi know anything about what was happening here?
He knew
everything until he had to even come back here when Charles Taylor was ousted from power. Until that time that we were in prison. OJ Jallo made a complaint that the people that Kukoi got into this problem, they have been arrested and they are in prison. And here is Kukoi in this country working freely and not being arrested. Then the truth is not being upheld. Yes. What have you learned from this? Just regret.
You may now proceed to making your final remarks if you have any, Mr. Kanteh.
Mr. Kanteh silang kiaman kami fola mindiko isi tentang yela kumo fo ibela kumo da sorana menna ninga tra ya soro be mem fola.
Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin.
Praise be to God.
May Allah Ta'ala manso tengul.
I thank the Almighty God. Because he is the one that enabled us all to be gathered here today. Because there were times to think that such a thing will happen just as we are here today. TRRC lumamina ya jamira ko no voting TRRC it was only God who knew when Jammeh's government will come to an end and when the TRRC will be established. If you told us this while we were in prison, we would have refused. But God's things are very quick. So but a human being, when you find yourself in a particular place, until you become so arrogant, he shows you that I am God and I put you in position. And any day that I need that position, I will take it away from you. And you will not even be aware. I will give you to the one that I please. Because God himself said in the Quran, what I mean to? Kingship is just a blessing I give. The people that are under you, if you don't rule them justly, I can take it from you and give it to another. That is what is there. I thank God the Almighty for the good work that you are doing. It's very pleasing to me because many things are being said. Even my coming here, so even within my family, many of them are afraid, they are scared, they are confused. But just as a human being, if you don't know things, you are always in that state of mind. Some of my family members, that they not watch television, they even thought that that if my father should hear my testimony here,
samra ko nga problem dolo zondo problem dolo kono wala ten ninta wala nan kondo ma ya isia bara do pro kana kuma fa me aron ko asikudo dumaro da problem ga fen
that I am involved in another problem and that may cause some psychological effects on him, which was why I asked my younger brother to be seated close to him and to calm him down.
Just
to make things clear, because if the truth is not established, there cannot be forgiveness. But any time that the truth is established, we would forgive one another. Even God himself forgives.
So
and every day we offend him.
So why
is it that we human beings are not able to forgive one another? So let us forgive one another. It has happened. And you are carrying out your work. And I know they say many things against you. From the bad things, insults, especially this Ezafai. It's a big thing. People are saying many things. But for God, if you are doing your work and you do it in an upright manner, God knows He protects you. And nobody can do anything about it. What we are doing is to let the world know what had happened here in the Gambia. What happened in the Gambia here is painful, especially mile 2. Many people were brought there in my presence, and many were taken away in my presence who were killed. Many. Some were there. Haruna Jame and his sister. After that, the chief of Biam and Dongo and others, and Mustafa Nyas. Two of his brothers are old soldiers. So the first day he was arrested and brought there. He found me there, and the assistance I was rendering to him. He did not ask for a long time there. When he went to Biam, he told his relatives that I found a person there called Balo Kanteh. He assisted me. When he was released, so he went, and not long after he was arrested, they brought him there again. He did not spend much time there, and he was taken away. And that was how they were made to disappear. And two of his younger brothers who were soldiers, they came there. They went up the tower, and they called me and asked me. He said to me, we are asking about our brother. When he was initially arrested and released, the assistance that you rendered to him. So, and for that reason, we never saw him again when he was rearrested. And that was why your issue came to our mind, and we came here to ask you about him. So I told them, well, I am in prison because I am my back is on the wall already. So anytime and they can collect me anytime and kill me. And you are in the service. What I am going to say to you, if they hear it from you, before they will get to me, they will fry you first. So I told them, your older brother has been killed. I told them, if he was here, I would have called him and you will see him. But they have killed him. So many instances like that. Even like Dabamare. I used to give him food, and I used to chat with him. So they collected them from there, and I was aware of it. And even the 9 death row inmates they killed.
My one
of my brothers was there, a younger brother called Lamin Jaju.
So a farmer Banda.
His father died.
So Abama from Banda, Amana Abama Sima, Abama father.
The mother also died because she could not take the pressure.
Ndoma Atamundoma.
He's my brother. He was my brother.
So say Wakamala.
So for that reason,
so Allah do Kukendoma Albala.
The good work that you are embarking on, may God reward you. May God also protect you and protect you. God is the one that protects creation, and may God protect you and preserve you until your end of your job. This is my last statement.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kanteh, for those wise words.
Mr. Kanteh,
we have a very solid team here at TRRC. We are not afraid. We are not going to be intimidated.
And the
mandate given to us by the National Assembly, we will fulfill it to the best of our ability. And we thank you very much indeed for coming to share your experience, as difficult as it is, with us. Again, I repeat, we are truly sorry that you had to endure so much. We will end our proceedings here today and resume tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.